Who's ready for the Dirt Life Show?
Yeah, welcome to episode 98, man, 98 of the Dirt Life Show. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We have a fun show tonight for you guys. We are down at Four Wheel Parts, San Marcos, California. This is one of the OG shops, man. This is a really cool shop. A lot of people have been coming in and out while we've been setting up today. I'm Georgie Hamill, and tonight we have two UTV legends in my book. Right next to me, my immediate left, we got Joey D. What's up, Joey? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here. It's good to be able to come down to the Four Wheel Parts store and hang out with you guys.
Hey, so
my boy over here too.
Yeah, exactly. And then we got to my far left, to Joey D's immediate left, we got RJ Anderson. Thank you very much for coming down and co-hosting with us, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad we get to call Joey a UTV guy again. It feels good to be in that ambiance, you know?
Hey, so I got a funny story to start off the show. So I sat in the mirror for a good hour trying to do my best. Hey, it's Joey D. And I couldn't get it. I couldn't match it. And I was like, damn it. I got to try to see if I can perfect this intro. Didn't happen, dude. So I was thinking, maybe RJ's done it. Have you ever done the Hey, it's Joey D?
No one can get it even close to how good Joey does it. You got to be in the zone. And
you think you can give us a Hey, it's Joey D real quick?
Hey, it's Joey D here with Four Wheel Parts, and
that's perfect. I couldn't get, dude. I practiced so hard for that, man.
That's the only part I'm good at, though. After that, it's all downhill. Caleb and the guys that are here, Daniel, they've filmed me before, so they know it's
that's the way it goes.
Definitely not in one take.
Well, I think he did an amazing job, and I think a lot of the people that are watching the show and some of the guys in our audience, we'll put a little camera over there so you guys can all see. We got a fantastic Four Wheel Parts razor that I think you actually designed, didn't you?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. We put it together really quick when the XP dropped, and
wave hi to the camera, everybody.
Yeah, we put that together for the Sand Show a couple years ago.
For the
I forgot we had it. Otherwise, I'd have probably commandeered it a couple times when I get the invite, and I'm like, oh man, I sold all my cars, dude.
We can see if we can find a key for that bad boy. Yeah. So today, I think we should talk about a couple things. We're going to totally talk about some fun stuff with you about your career, the things that you've done. I know RJ's got some serious stories, so it'll be pretty cool to talk with him about that as well. But a couple things that I want to talk about on the show tonight was maybe a little bit maybe a 5-minute Vegas Arena recap if you guys are down.
Yeah, do it.
I want to talk about that Sturgis race that you and Ronnie did, RJ, because that looked kind of cool.
Yeah, so we went and we put it on our schedule this year. You know, one thing is Sturgis, man. I've always wanted to go there. It's one of my things in life. I got to do everything once, or at least try, you know.
Well, you're Mr. America, and that's pretty American.
Dude, and it's even more American than I even thought, let me tell you what. But the goal is kind of King of the Hammers is a big event for us, so mix something up that's literally in the middle of the year from Hammers. So go out there, get some experience in the rocks. The rock pile was smaller than this building, so there was no rocks out at Sturgis race, but man, the event was awesome. Ultra 4, Dave Cole, they just put on a great event.
They're pros.
Their streaming is awesome. It doesn't matter what kind of event. It could be in the middle of nowhere in a field, and their coverage and everything is so pro. It's great for the sport. So it was worth the drive. It's a long ways from Southern California, I'll tell you what, but Sturgis is rowdy.
Further than Wheatland, Missouri?
Not quite as far as Wheatland, but it just seems like South Dakota doesn't look that far on a map to me. But
yeah, but it's just a long.
Have you ever driven across Wyoming?
I have actually.
Dude, it looks small on a map,
but it feels like it was forever.
It's a whole day.
Yeah,
that was the rough one, Wyoming, and a whole lot of nothing.
Guys at PRP just said Joey D.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, so you guys can all comment, join us, hang out. I'm sure you guys will like a lot of these stories that we have going on. One of our buddies, I think Jessy Nelson's probably going to call in around 5:30 or so. So that'll be pretty cool. A couple other things I want to talk about on the show today was the Dirt Life show is, I think our anniversary is going to be in 2 days. So
congratulations.
Yeah. So we're
Time
celebrating
flies.
2 years, man. It's pretty cool. We're on episode 98 now, and then we're going to have our 100th episode with a guy that you guys probably know, Todd Zaccone from Evolution Power Sports.
Right on.
I think that'll be pretty cool. We're going to go to Arizona and hang out with him a little bit, and I really enjoy the things that he's doing now with his son, just getting his son started in UTV desert racing in the rally class. And it really reminded me a lot of the things that I did with my dad when I started growing up and doing the dirt bike stuff. So it was really emotional and satisfactory for me to see him. They drove all the way to Arizona just to get prepped and ready for the race from Colorado. Like all this family camaraderie going into it, man, and it's so cool to see that. So we're gonna have an episode 100, man. I can't believe it. Like
That's awesome.
Well, I think you came to a show. It was probably in the teens, like
yeah,
late teens.
the Warfighter.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
Dude, that
a
was
couple years ago. Yeah, that's it's grown fast. You've kept your nose to the grindstone and stayed committed to it. We've seen a lot of shows kind of come and go.
Yeah.
Like this, and just in the short time you've been started, right? So it's not easy to get one off the ground and then keep the momentum and stick with it, and let it grow. But you've done a good job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I do have to say thank you to you guys too, and all the guys here, man. Like everybody that works at Four Wheel Parts, because I wouldn't have the opportunity to be sitting here if it wasn't like just
it's our pleasure.
getting linked up, man.
Yeah.
And I want to dive into the OG UTV scene, man. So I'm just gonna put a little sneak peek.
It all started right there.
If you guys on Instagram aren't seeing this, you got to go over to Facebook or YouTube. But
that was
dude,
the fat rod.
That
right
is
there.
the OG right there.
That's how it all started.
Dude. I saw that thing and I was like, dude, and look how hard you're sending that thing. Like,
what is that? 40 miles an hour Fury right there?
Oh, dude, at least.
How did you not break your back on that?
I think I did. No, actually, that thing worked pretty good for being, that on the left there. What you're looking at is what turned into the fat rod on the right. So on the left.
Oh,
Rusty,
sorry. Let's go back.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Rusty and I built that thing in the cage, which was basically, if you look closely, that was a stock Rhino cage, and we just cut it. We cut it and lowered it, and then added like kicker bars off the back to build the bed cage, and then some windshield bars, and then obviously did some big gaudy panels because I had to climb in and out of it.
Dude, I just see that and like
Craig and lights. Remember Craig and HIDs?
No, I don't.
And those things hit the scene. You don't remember that,
No.
man? Talk about the best like $100 you could spend
those
for
would
HID
burn
lights.
those would burn the crap out of you if you touched them.
Oh, like
dude, smoke your hand.
They were like, that was the jam back then, dude. That's like 2006, something like that.
I got my first Rhino in 2008, I think it was, and like seeing this picture of you hucking this black Rhino on the right hand side of the screen just hurts my back looking at it, dude.
Yeah, that's the original fat rod. I didn't do a lot with that car because it, like anything I build, you build it so nice, and then it goes on the show circuit, and you don't want to damage it. But that trip did that jump, and then I ended up going end over end with it.
Oh,
Not too
really?
long, but the sand, it was middle of the summer,
Wadded
hot as
it?
hell, and the sand was so soft that I went over a Razorback, landed on the nose, and it shoveled and then hooked and landed on the roof and did no damage. It was so soft that it just sunk in, and there's a pretty comedic photo somewhere floating around of me.
The real Blake
climbing
Vander.
out upside down.
I can only imagine the pandemonium that went on when that happened.
Oh, I was depressed, but it didn't break any of the fiberglass because the hood and the fenders, all that was one-off fiberglass stuff. And
The real Blake Vanderloo just commented in and said, have you seen Joey's sweet shoes? Did you have sweet shoes on when you were jumping the Rhino too? Because
I
usually you got
always-
the red Nikes, dude.
well,
don't you?
I went through a phase where, every race I'd have like different color Nikes, like bright yellow or, green or blue or red. Red was kind of the go-to for me. And and then I'd have like the matching Oakley socks with it.
Oh, full on.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Fashion on the UTV scene. And so a couple other things I wanted to talk about was one of the funniest videos I've seen of Joey D is Guy Fieri smoked you on an intro, dude.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I looked at that, and we're talking about you getting your back hurt in the Rhino. I thought he folded your spinal cord, dude, because he smoked you.
ear-holed me. That was a good one. That was a good one. It was a real tackle. Like, he really got me.
He comes in, so you guys have to find this. I don't know how I found it, just looking on like YouTube or something.
Yeah.
But Guy Fieri, you guys are doing an intro for some build, like I think that you guys did, right?
Yeah.
And you're standing there and you're doing the Hey It's Joey D intro, and Guy Fieri just comes flying from off screen like a bullet and just
He did. He
darts you on the side and just smokes you so hard.
It was like a prototypical tackle. Like, I should probably play that for Enzo and Baby C and say this is how you tackle people. Because
The first
he
thing
got me good.
The first thing I said was spinal. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
That was a great trip. That was Dune Fest.
Have you ever seen that clip, RJ?
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't on that trip, but I've seen the clip.
There's a good little series of clips. That was one where I struggled getting my words out because I've got this like famous, celebrity over here that's known for how good he is on camera.
Intros.
He actually taught me some stuff that time, but Yeah, there's some funny outtakes from that one because I was struggling trying to get it out, and then at one point he actually reeled off a really good imitation of me.
Really?
Yeah,
Dude, I'm jealous of that.
Yeah,
I got to
pretty
see
good.
that.
It's out there so well. It's probably buried
So
in a hard drive somewhere. But
we'll talk. So we'll talk about like bloopers and stuff. But another blooper that I found when I was doing a little bit of recon was you were taking like a selfie, and then a project that you guys worked on together was XP1K, and you were taking a selfie, and RJ just wads it up right behind you in his Razor.
Yeah, that was XP1K3.
Yeah.
I was in out in
So I'd like to get into that story a little bit.
Good one.
And then RJ is pretty much the expert in this, but I'd like to know if you guys are down to play Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader today?
Oh, dude,
I don't know what that is, but I'll give her a rip.
It's way harder than you think.
Yeah, it might not be good for me. Hopefully, no one from Polaris Corporate watches, and I make myself not look smarter than a third grader.
I'll give you a heads up, though. So I went through 15 questions, and to get to like copy and paste the questions on a piece of paper, I had to take the test. And I only got 9 out of 15, and I had multiple choice. You guys don't have that, so these are pretty difficult third grader questions here.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to show up and be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Dude, it's pretty fun, though. Him and Ronnie battled so hard at Wild Horse Pass one time.
Really?
Yeah, we
Playing
put
this?
up a good fight. I don't even remember who won, but some of the questions are like,
you
okay,
came out with the
I think I
victory,
did
but it was,
last minute.
dude, it was like by the skin of your teeth, man.
It'll come from behind if I remember.
Yeah, it was. Because Ronnie got all cocky like halfway
yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And then you just
Threw
started
it away.
Yeah, he was in third grade, way closer.
Yeah, way
than
closer
us.
than you.
Fishgistics commented in, what is Joey D
boy.
going to do with his hands the whole time?
I don't know. I'm already struggling here. I'm just trying to keep myself contained.
Yeah.
I don't do well sitting down for a long period of time without being locked in on something. So
So we got a few people watching on Facebook. You guys are more than welcome to comment in. We'll try to get to as many of your guys' questions and comments and stuff as possible. I know that we're going to have a good time tonight. And then, like I kind of said before, that we're going to talk about on episode 100 of the Dirt Life Show is family and motorsports. I think that's really cool.
nothing better.
So let me get through some of the sponsorship stuff, and we'll get going. So thank you very much, like I said, to everybody that's joining us. You guys are our lifeblood, so keep commenting in, man. The amount of DMs that we get is phenomenal, and I love you guys asking questions, suggesting new guests, doing all that stuff, coming on board and watching the shows and stuff. They're not massive yet, but you guys are making them a lot bigger, so keep helping us. Subscribe, do all that crazy stuff. You guys are really, really helping us out. If you guys can't watch live, you guys can always go back and check out the episodes on YouTube, on Facebook. And, man, our audio stuff is going crazy. So you guys must be listening to it like when RJ's traveling. Hopefully he's listening to it. All these other guys that are traveling all the races and stuff. On iTunes, Google, Spotify. Spotify's been doing really good. So thank you guys very much for all watching and keeping the show going. Really want to say thanks to the guys over at Wheel Pros, KMC, and EFX Tires. You guys can come in and check out all the KMC wheels at any four-wheel parts. They have tons and tons of good wheel selection for you guys. We're going to do some stuff with a couple vehicles coming up. We're going to have an awesome live Sand Sports Super Show, KMC show, coming up in September. So we got a lot of fun stuff planned with those guys. But thank you very much to Ryan and Ryan over at KMC and EFX Tires as well. Thank you guys over at Shock Therapy. Justin always does such a fantastic job with helping out the sport and growing the industry. He's been doing a lot of media stuff. He even helped out with some of the stuff at Vegas to Reno. It was really cool to see that because it was a different perspective. And, man, he's just still killing it in the suspension game. So you guys can get your suspension done anytime. Use the code DIRTLIFE, though, and you can save a whole bunch of money over there at Shock Therapy. Or if you want to give them a call, you can tell them that the Dirt Life sent you and get your vehicle set up with any of their products, man. Steering racks, they got all kinds of stuff. Thank you guys over at Zollinger Racing Products. They make amazing UTV products. I mean, we always talk about how rad products are for the truck industry, like we can see here at 4 Wheel Parts, but those guys have been elevating the game at Zollinger, man. So you can use the code TheDirtLife at ZollingerRacingProducts.com and save a whole bunch of money over there. You guys know Josh over at Cryo Heat?
I do. Yeah.
Josh,
I talked to him for a long time. We tried to get something going. I still have a thing I want to do to a Razor transmission that no one's done yet.
Oh, there you go.
So I won't say what that is, but
yeah, keep that under wraps.
Yeah, eventually, if I ever get I got a couple units on order. So
Cool.
I might be able
Well,
to
speaking
break
of
out.
Razor transmissions, he does a fantastic job with the Pro Mods that he already has. So maybe you can help him out with that too. But I know they're making them for Can-Ams, for Razors, for a bunch of different vehicles. They also do a bunch of work for your CV joints, all kinds of crazy stuff. So give Josh a call over there at Cryo Heat and tell him that Dirt Life sent you. And thank you very much to the guys over at Solderweld. You can use the code DIRTLIFE at solderweld.com. You can get an off-road repair kit and or a welding blanket even. Those will help you repair your race or repair your ride. So thank you very much to the guys that support us and help us keep the show going for you. All right. So let's do a Vegas to Reno recap real quick because you didn't get to go and I didn't get to go. Nope. But pretty much every single other person that's sitting here in the audience and RJ got to go.
Yeah.
So how was it, man? Was it just smoking hot out there?
Man, I was there. It's been the first time, I think, since 2014 that I went as strictly a crew guy. So I've done some racing out there in the last couple of years, 6100 Class 1. This year didn't end up working out with the rides, so went out with my buddy JD, who races the naturally aspirated class.
Shout out to JD.
Yeah, killed it. Had a fun day. So we had a pretty small crew, but man, that race, as Joey was touching on earlier, it's as a crew guy, it's probably one of the best ones to chase because
best in desert, hands down.
Literally from the time the race started, we hit the first 7 pits, every single one we went to, and it's we're barely making it there, but we're rushing in, getting set up. He had some fuel problems, so we were having to fuel the car every single pit. So it was a lot of adrenaline going on, but it was cool just to go and go to contingency and see a bunch of people in the off-road world. I haven't got to see a lot of my sponsors and stuff in person this last year, so it was one of the first times I got to see a bunch of people there, and the racing was awesome. There was a incident right off the start, which was absolutely awful, and so I hate to see that, and thoughts are out to that whole family. Absolutely. So that put a big divot in the fun and the overall realm of the race for me, and I think a lot of people. But it was definitely good to be back out the races and kind of just be a crew guy again.
Yeah, it was probably like getting back to like grassroots racing, like because you're doing it for somebody else, right?
Yeah, JD, the guy who I was helping us, was one of my good friends, and he's a crew guy on my with all my truck program and off-road stuff. So he's a key to success for my program. So it was fun to go and kind of switch roles with him and go help him out.
RJ's always in to
and they
help
did
out
good.
Those guys that do a good job for him. On the trucks and everything when they're going to put together their own little effort to go race, and RJ's the first one out to support those guys right back. It's
you're either gonna track it all day on your phone, or you can just be there.
Yeah, exactly.
True that.
It did look like fun though. It just looked so hot, man. It looked like it was really hot out there.
Man, you have no idea.
Degrees.
In the car, I would say the first 150 miles of Vegas to Reno is one of the most brutal races because the dust is so thick and gnarly, and it's always over 100 degrees. So it's just hot air. You're not getting any fresh. You can't get fresh air. You can't get fresh vision. That first 150 miles, I think that's why you see so many people fall off, just because they make bad decisions. Their brain gets worn out. Mentally, it drains you.
Yeah, there was a time when UTVs would actually start with the bikes early in the morning, and that was kind of cool because you get the day started at sunrise, and then you're finishing in some cases as they got faster with the sun still up, but you're trying to stay out front of the trucks then before they go off, and you're beating some of that early heat when you're a little bit further south there in the desert. So
it just looked like it was going to be so hot, man. Hey, so we got a couple questions come in. This one, I don't know who, Jason Zendrowski said, my main question is, why is Caleb there and shouldn't be editing video from Bark River?
Give him a break. Yeah, he's up, Jay-Z.
All right. Yeah. And so we had a couple other questions and comments in. Kevin Spangler commented in when saying, "What up, Mike Pascarella?" This one's a good one. Arthur Yankelevich said, I would like to say thank you to Joey D and RJ as great people, and always give Ruslan. I don't know if you guys know that kid, Ruslan.
Yeah, I've heard of him. I've heard of him.
Positive feedback and how to become a better person.
Yeah, Ruslan went through a kind of a rough stretch there the last couple of weeks with a wreck video jumping, and the kid's got so much passion. He's out there just trying to find a way and do something that he loves to do, and so it was a bummer to see him kind of get that public runaround, which is kind of par for the course when we're living such a public life on Instagram. But I think he took it really well.
Smart kid.
I had some really good conversation with him in DM and kept his, just to, let him know like, hey, you're young. It's a blip in the blip in terms of your career and just push forward. And
100%. And he did such a fantastic job because, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days later, he picked up his brand new Razor XP Pro, a 4-seater converted into 2, that IMG Motorsports built for him. And he went out and just completed the Vegas to Reno race with Alexia Lemming, Chris Lemming's daughter.
Yeah, and I love to see that. I think that's the perfect thing for him, you know. I think he's got a great future, and he's a great kid, and we're all going to have crashes, you know, and I think the best thing he could do right now is go put in some miles and you know, hone his skills in and, you know, keep at it.
Yeah, I mean, us adults probably crash more than Ruslan, right? Like, look how many times we've ate crap before, right? Yeah. Chris Lemming said, couldn't agree more with RJ. My first time chasing the whole race, probably Vegas to Reno, was for some kids, was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool, man. All right, so one of the first things that I want to talk about was completing the Vegas to Reno race, because you guys had said that it was, well, it's the longest off-road race in America, right?
Yeah, it's the longest point-to-point race and the best in the Desert Series. And
why does everybody say it's so gnarly, though? It's like the first part, the second part, like what's the gnarliness?
There's a lot of factors.
Imagine driving from here to Salt Lake City in the dirt.
Yeah.
But is it just because the course is so ripped up? Is it rocks?
The course now, like it's the course probably isn't the roughest course that you're going to compete in off-road racing, but you factor in the distance you got to go, you factor in the heat, the dust, all of those elements that come into play. UTVs now are starting behind trucks, so the course is going to continue to change. You've got those big 40-inch tires digging holes and building ruts for you to go and blast through. Then you end up passing some of those guys as they brake. And now you got them running up behind you. So there's all these factors that turn it into just a really difficult race. And then you cap it off with the fact that it's a drag race. There's no, you can go to Baja and still get away with, having a bad start and setting a pace and then letting the race kind of come to you and then turn it on. You can't do that at best in desert race, but Vegas to Reno, you got to be on the throttle. And it's pretty much, if you're going for wins, you got to throw caution to the wind and hope your equipment holds up.
100%. Cadence Cowan just commented in and said that it's cool to see you guys on the show, that you guys have been an inspiration for her since day one, too. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Speaking of that, what you were talking about with the Vegas to Reno, we have a special guest sitting in the audience, Seth Quintero. He actually did the Vegas to Reno race.
Yeah. Couple hours of it anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, poor guy. Ooh,
you know what? Seth has had such a good career so far.
Yeah.
That, and he goes through some bumps in the road. Now he's
still smiling.
We got to let him know what it really feels like, so that way he regains his composure.
Why don't you wave to your fans over here, Seth?
To winning.
I can't. I can't put any shame on you because I think the farthest I've made it at Vegas to Reno is pit 4. Farthest.
Hey, I raced Vegas to Reno one time, and we were done at pit 3.
Yeah.
Really?
So, I've been there.
At least it makes the drive home easier. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
a lot closer from pit 3 than pit 11.
The team that I was racing with that year, this is before I was involved with Polaris, so we were racing a factory Kawasaki, and the team was really bummed that we didn't make it to pit 4 because at pit 4 was when they were going to hand me a cheeseburger in the pits, and so they were all ready with their practical joke.
You totally ruined their surprise.
Yeah, little do they know I would have eaten it too. So joke's on them.
But yeah, so going back to what you were saying, RJ, like I feel like any type of desert racing in America, I mean, the UTV World Championship we're going to talk about, but it's just like full pepper the whole time. Like there's no chill in desert racing anymore.
Yeah.
It's getting definitely way more competitive. I mean, I would say from when I first started racing short course and I would dabble in some desert stuff, it was definitely not that way, Right. At least from the UTV side, you'd go to a race and you'd give it 70% most of the race. More, you'd step it up when you had to, but that was how you had to get to the finish. And now I haven't done a UTV desert race in a while. King of the Hammers this year, I rode with Ronnie, and it was literally as fast as we could go for 100 miles. And it's like, man, we're partying now. This is no joke.
Things have evolved. The equipment's evolved so much. The suspension, the power. People got belts dialed in now. So, up until just a couple years ago, there was a lot of pre-planned stops just to service the clutch and change secondaries and primaries and just change rear axles just to do it,
Yeah, 2013, I raced the Baja 1000, and we literally had to stop. It was halfway through my stint, and we put brand new clutches, brand new belt, and brand new rear axles in the car. Like, you can't do that in a UTV race now.
You can't do that now. Like, you won't win, you know? So the equipment and everything's just progressed, that, especially Best in Desert. Baja still has at the 500, the 1,000, for sure. You can let the race kind of come to you. You know, you can have some downtime with a flat tire or need to change a belt or even a clutch, right? And still be in the hunt, depending on your pace and where you're at, of course. But in Best in the Desert, it just doesn't work that way anymore. It's pretty much like you got to have a damn near flawless.
When we were in Mexico for the 500, though, I feel like it's like it was tightening up. Like it was like they were
truck guys would tell you the opposite of what I'm saying about UTVs.
There's no chill.
There's no chill in trucks. Like
full bore
trophy trucks. They're built to like 500 miles for those things is not a problem.
Yeah,
they'll do 500 miles in testing, if they need to, but they'll get down to Baja and just let it eat,
Have either of you guys been able to drive in an unlimited trophy truck?
No.
Or sit passenger or anything? How about you, RJ?
I haven't done any races in a trophy truck. I've done some 6100 and Class 1 stuff, and I've driven a trophy truck, but never done any racing in one.
So just aside, I mean, you race obviously Pro 4s and Pro 2s, and have done everything under the sun, but just thinking from UTV standpoint, a lot of the people that comment in and ask us different questions is like, oh, I want to get a trophy truck. That's my dream, right? But I always try to tell people, like, from a big standpoint, you guys have been around the racing industry for a long time. UTVs are plenty good for 90% of the people out there. So you don't have to have that dream of trophy trucks. Like, you can just be satisfied with the UTV, right? Like,
I don't know. I mean, the UTVs are definitely the most economical way to get in and go compete and have fun. It still takes a lot of money, right, to go run against the best teams out there. These aren't like $50,000 budgets like they used to have, So you got to have some money. But trucks, I mean, I don't know. It's like still, I think every guy's dream, and that's the thing. We're talking about a hobby sport.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we're in. So if you got the money, I've said this a bunch of times. What makes our sport special is the same thing that makes it deplorable, right?
Yeah.
The fact that, I'll use Robert Acer as an example, if you guys remember him, right?
Yep.
He never had to identify himself, never took his helmet off. He could show up under an alias as a superhero and enter the most premier class in our sport and go compete because he had the money to do it. If he showed up at NASCAR as our Acer and never wanted to take his helmet off, they couldn't laugh hard enough before they escorted him out the door. But that's what makes our sport special, right? Is that if you got the money and you got the passion, you can go do it. Now, we can all debate whether or not, Joe Schmo off the street should be able to go buy a Mason and go out and run the Baja 500 against Luke and Dan and, Bryce and all these guys, right? You can debate whether or not there should be some sort of driving license that gets instigated or a process that they have to go to kind of earn their stripes or at least prove that they're not going to hurt themselves, let alone somebody else. But again, that's what makes our sport special is
anybody
got
can
the loot. Go buy a Mason.
Exactly. Go throw it down the $1 million. Yeah.
I would. If I hit the lottery, I mean, I couldn't get a trophy truck on order fast enough. Yeah. I have no business being in one. I'll probably put this kid in it and that kid over there. But I'd have to go take a riff at least a couple of times.
I couldn't agree more. But my point more is along the lines of like, what's the difference? Like if you're just some guy off the street and you want to get into off-road racing, a UTV is more than anybody can handle. I've told everybody I was never as good as RJ or anything like that, but when I raced for professional UTVs, I could never drive the car as fast as it could go.
Yeah,
I was maybe 80%, 70% of what the vehicle could handle.
He can't either.
Yeah, I mean, like it's so good though, right? Like those UTVs are so good and so fast. Like, I mean, going to the dunes now in a UTV is phenomenal.
Yeah, they're plenty. It's plenty of power, plenty of suspension. For a guy to get involved in the sport and go and cut his teeth and learn it. I mean, that's what makes
somebody's
this class...
already blowing out Robert Acer online trying to tell him his real name.
Yeah, no, it's Fish for sure. I don't even have to see it. I already know. But that's what makes it cool for kids too, right? Like our youth now. Whereas there's a time where if you talk to, I know like with Bryce and a bunch of guys, right? They started on dirt bikes. You started on dirt bikes for the most part.
Yeah, the youth stuff just started right as I was almost too old for it.
So now it's like, now these kids, you look at Caden over here. I mean, he's got more years under his belt racing side-by-sides than some of the pros do in the
wave to everybody,
turbo
Caden,
class.
on the camera over here. You're all the way at the end.
But that's
Yeah.
what they're learning now, you know, and
Exactly.
that's special, right? So the class is really cool for the development side. But from a competitive side, a professional competitive side, I mean, there's not a deeper class out there still that you can.
When the bang for the buck is really what it comes down to.
100%, yeah.
How fast you can go, how competitive for the cost. It's way higher than the trophy truck cost to how much fun, you know. I mean,
Well, and then to go even further beyond, like, you can't have a trophy truck race in Sturgis, but you can have a UTV race.
No, they could.
You know what I mean?
They'd figure it out.
Yeah.
Well,
they figure it out. But I get what you're saying for sure.
So-
UTVs are so much more versatile in terms of
Just throw it in there and go, yeah.
the national appeal to it, right? Guys that are living in the South, for example,
Yep.
they see a trophy truck and they can go, wow, cool. But they can't say like, you know, I want to go, I'm going to go do that. They
Yep.
can, but I mean, you know what I mean? Whereas they can see the side-by-sides and go, I know where to go buy those things. And my
Yep.
buddies already have them. They're running the hills or the mud and whatever else. So they're just much more attainable and much more accessible for people.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And like, that's one of the reasons that we started this show is because, you know, UTVs, I mean, that's what got me into it. Like, I was never going to race off-road. I, you know, started helping Casey Curry with some business stuff. And then he let me take out his Pro Light one day and do a test run. And I was like, oh, I'm hooked. Like, this is like a dirt bike with four wheels. Like, this is the best thing ever. Right. And then he's like, yeah, here's the price, dude. And I'm like, oh, yeah, see ya.
yeah, I got to
Like,
go home.
yeah, I'm out of here. And then like a couple years later, like 2013, 14-ish, I met the UTV Wolfpack guys, who you guys both know.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we have a race razor. And it's like not even half the price of that Pro Light. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. Like,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Yeah, no, that's the special thing about this class. And it's this, we're talking about the same things that we talked about, you know, over a decade ago of what makes this class so special.
It's pretty bomb to talk about all that stuff. Well, speaking of that Sturgis UTV race, like, what was it? Like, what was the deal behind it? Because, like, me, I was like, totally didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I think this was the first year, so it's the first time ever. And from what I hear, Dave's actually working to make it a much bigger event next year, so that's exciting. Just because it's a cool spot, it's another thing that gets off-road attention. You know,
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere, heard somewhere while I was there that Sturgis was expecting 400,000 people. Just
Holy smokes.
400,000 people. They've had more than that out there before, but they're expecting 400,000 people. I went to a concert. It was Buck Cherry Saturday night. Dude, it was insane. Everyone pulls up on their Harleys and whatever they got, and every time a song ends, instead of like clapping or cheering, they just start their bikes and rev them.
Really?
All dead straight face too. They just start their bike and just.
Dude,
all
I
just drop
guarantee
the
so many
throttle.
people were pouring beer on the exhaust and just trying to drink it.
It's like, you know, what Camp Razor always kind of aspired to
Yeah.
get to, right? With
Yeah.
in terms of being a cultural thing, right? Like if you're a motorcycle guy, yeah, Sturgis is something.
So
you
yeah,
have to go
it's.
do.
I guess a lot of people don't realize that Ultra 4 has a lot of events throughout the year. Like
Yeah.
it's not just King of the Hammers. You know,
Nope.
they have a full
Whole series.
West Series, East Series, North Series. I don't even know all of it, but I think there's 12 to 15 races throughout the year that Ultra 4 has, and this was just one of the stops on their West Coast series.
Dude,
So-
I really like what they're doing with that, man. That's so cool.
If you guys don't know about all of what Ultra 4 does, you have to go and look at it
Yep.
because, you know, Dave has really put together a solid organization that represents our sport well. The live coverage, you mentioned that, and then the series. I mean, a lot of people know King of the Hammers, but Four Wheel Parts sponsors their series, obviously, and they go to the East Coast and run, and obviously the Midwest. So they've been to Sturgis before. This is the first time I think though that they brought the UTV class out there, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it was one of the first times they did this big event out there, and yeah,
Well,
like you said, he does such a good job. There was over 30 UTVs. Like,
Dude, you said 400,000 people. If you got 10% of that, that's more than 90% of the other races that we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well
that's
over.
Well,
Dude.
just the spectators, and then you think of all the people you're introducing the sport to when you go to these, what I would consider like a non-endemic type of audience or event, right? You're putting our sport in front of new people.
Then when you're done, you could drive your UTV wherever you want there in South Dakota.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
That, like Arizona, it's the Wild West.
Yeah,
Free
exactly.
America.
You just have some kind of license plate on the back, no matter what it's off, and just go drive into town and check it out. It's a rad.
That's perfect. The Dune and Destroy guys joined us as well, so hi to those
Right
guys. I do think it's pretty cool that all these races. I mean, well, it's kind of hard though. Like, maybe you guys could talk about it a little bit more from the business side of things. Like, since there's so many UTV races popping up and UTV events popping up, like, as a racer, how do you even pick and choose like where you're going to go? Because you don't have enough time to do that in race.
I'll tell you what, I did a bad job picking and choosing this year because I think we did so little events last year. Like we looked at the schedule this year and we're like, oh, let's go here. Let's do this. Let's do this. Between Ronnie and I think we're doing 36 races this year.
When you guys are going out to Texplex and to Texas and doing that,
11 rounds there, and it's a lot, and I enjoy it. But like we got about a month ago, and we and Ronnie are looking at each other like, man, we're a little bit worn out. This is a lot, traveling across the country because really the West Coast used to be where everything was, and now all these people are stepping up in Texas and Oklahoma. Sturgis. There's all these series that are blowing up and doing all the right things to make it grow. And we haven't really seen a lot of growth in the West Coast. The desert classes have grown. West Coast is kind of, in some cases, reducing, right? We're spoiled down here.
Yeah.
And I owe the Texplex guys an apology because I think at one point I told them, like, you're never going to get these California guys to go out there.
Look at the way
the big purse and everything else. But talk about a group of guys that, didn't listen to me, thank God. And they put together a program, and the timing being where it's harder to get the diverse competition here in the Southwest right now with Lucas Oil kind of dropping
the way the cards fell was like...
it's just like it worked out, and they put on a great event, right? Like the track's awesome, and they're getting more of those Southern guys to come out and race too, so you're giving them
Have you ever
an
gone
opportunity.
To Texplex?
Nope, I looked at it up and down, and so in my later years of UTV Underground, I was looking at it really closely to think about taking the UTV World Championship out there to do we had kind of had a dream of, you'd have the sort of the granddaddy at being in Laughlin, but then we would go do something in Texas and then do something somewhere else to be able to have kind of like a little mini series with it all culminating out here. But
make sure the mic pull it up a little bit too.
Yeah, I can hear that too.
So I don't know if
a longer one to get around my fat cheeks.
I don't know if that's the same way it is for me. You got to talk out the side of your lip.
Yeah.
I don't know if Jessy Nelson's going to call in. He was supposed to call in at 5:35, but he's notoriously late. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yep.
But
do
you know a guy named Blake Vanderloo? He wants to comment in and join us on Instagram. You want to let him in?
Yeah, why not?
He's going to steal
Blake
the show.
is one of the coolest guys I've ever met in this sport. One of the funnest guys to camp with, and a hell of a racer too.
All around good dude right here.
Yeah.
We'll request him and see if he wants to come in and hang out with us while we're talking about doing all this racing and stuff. I do think, give us a little bit of a rundown, like how you guys choose events. Like, how are you choosing events to send RJ? Or like, where are you guys picking, like picking and choosing? Give us a little behind the scenes.
I don't pick events anymore. I'm hardly out, which is a bummer. Coming to here and just doing this makes me realize how much I miss, like, just being out there with all my friends and people in the industry and stuff. But RJ will have to talk about how hard it is to pick events.
Yeah, it's hard
these days.
There's so many, and it's really, you just kind of spread it between three things nowadays. At least I do is one, the competition, and when we go somewhere race, we want to race.
There's no competition when you had to wear those waders or whatever those mud boots were that you picked. You picked that event.
The Mud Nationals.
Wait,
there's three things. Okay, I haven't gotten to all three.
You got to check Mud Nationals.
One is the competition. Two is the spots that represent your sponsors the best. The spots like where you can get the best coverage and places that you're not just in the middle of nowhere with no service, and really it's just another plastic trophy. And three, the fun. If you're not having fun and enjoying it at the end of the day, the first two are going to burn you out every day. Yep. So if you're just chasing the competition and what's best for your sponsors, you're going to forget sight of why you did it in the first place.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of merge all those three. And sometimes three is the first one, and sometimes one is the first one. But you got to have a mix. Otherwise, you're never going to last in this sport.
What RJ should do is at the beginning of the year, put his and Ronnie's race schedule up where they're going to go. I think there's a lot of people out there racing that maybe missed out on choosing to go to Sturgis that, you and Ronnie might help push people over the hump to plan it in their schedule. I think you should do that.
Yeah, if you did that and I was still racing UTVs, I would just pick exactly where you guys are going and follow.
Well, here's why I say it is, one, you get to go race with RJ and Ron Dog, right? That's cool. But if they're going, that there's probably a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a reason outside of racing that they're willing to go do that. And so that's reason enough that, if you follow the Anderson circuit, drive. You'll have a good time. Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about like how blown up the racing scene is now, like the OG scene is like a big part of what I wanted to talk about today too. And if Blake accepts us and comes on, he can talk about it too, because he's one of the OGs as well.
He goes back further than just about all of us.
Well, let's start talking about that, transitioning in, talking about that. Like, there was no events like back then. And you, starting with UTV Underground, started helping create those events for people like myself and RJ and all these other fans of UTVs to be able to go out there. So, like, what was it like that back in the day?
Well, there actually were some really good events. I mean, at that point, even before UTV Underground, down here in the Southwest, you had the Lake Elsinore series, right, that Ken Johnson and them were putting on. And then his Paris series, what was that called, side by side?
The M4SX.
M4SX,
yep.
right? So there were some actually really fun, good racing series down here. And then Best in the Desert and Baja, we're starting to welcome UTVs in. The car counts just weren't very big, but
Right.
I think Matt Parks raced the Baja 1000 in like 2003 or 2004 in a Ranger. Yeah. So, and then obviously as the Rhino came out, more guys were going and taking on Mexico, which was, but they weren't finishing really. So just to finish in that, it's kind of like a class 11, right? You just are fighting for a finish, but then it just slowly progressed, right? As UTVs began to, that's what sold me on a UTV, was watching Lake Elsinore and seeing Chad Matag and a few of these other guys with their rhinos. I didn't even know what a rhino was.
Yeah,
and
you just got into it.
Well, I saw him hitting this triple.
Yeah.
And
that's
side by side. And the flying banana, and I was like, well, I got to have one of those things now.
Yeah.
And I just remember calling NCY right down here, down the road, and going, they only had a camo one. I wanted the blue special edition, but I went down and got it. That's what sold me, was watching what they could turn into.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's probably 90% of everybody in the sport. At some point, they probably were like, oh, why would you go run a golf cart? That's what they were back then, that everyone talked down about them on. But
I remember
once you saw them customize and saw what they could do, how can you deny the fun in that?
I remember seeing like pictures of him, and then look, we got Blake Vanderloo. I don't know if he knows how to use his camera though, so we'll see if he can figure it out.
He's going to struggle with this stuff.
Yeah.
For as smart as this guy is,
So
like,
we'll let him figure it out before he put the. But I remember seeing him. Like I always tell James at IMG Motorsports. I went to Lake Elsinore on my mini bike one day. Like, I don't know, this was probably 2006-ish or something. And I was just starting to get like back into mini bikes. And then all of a sudden I think it was Andy Harrington, a Supercross guy, raving around in a Rhino that was all built up, dude. And he was doing some of these motocross jumps. I go, dude, that thing is sick.
Yeah, James Hill was an OG out there, and Pacheek, and then you had like the Hellbound Natives, and there were some really cool teams back then that were just there was no exposure to be had.
Yeah,
you weren't doing it because you thought you could get a factory deal back then. You were purely doing it because
the biggest races back then were like the GPs, the Saboba GP.
Saboba, that's where it all started for me, anyway.
All right, Blake Vanderloo, can you hear us, buddy?
Yes, I can.
All right, we'll bring you on the screen, man. How are you, dude?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing
good,
awesome.
Blake. Good to see you.
What's up, buddy?
Nice seeing you guys.
When was the last time you saw Blake?
I don't know. I haven't seen Blake in a little while, but it never feels like he's that far away,
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that why I really like Blake is, you can go without, I can go without seeing Blake for a year, but when we get together, we pick up right where we left off, It's just,
like that little video clip that I played of you guys on Instagram, reunited.
Yeah.
And it feels
100%. Blake is that guy for us too,
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Hey, Blake, so we were just talking about like the OG UTV scene. You remember your first build?
My first build was actually pretty far into it, but I had raced with Jagged X for probably going on 8-9 years before that first build of mine.
Oh, looks like you
I definitely remember my first race, though.
Were you there?
He was. I probably was. Yeah, I don't know which one it was, but Blake's sort of, for those who don't know, he people started to recognize him as a driver, through King of the Hammers later on, but he was Brandon Schuler's right-hand man through all those years of championships. I still would love to see like rework stats, like to go back through all the UTV career, because I got to figure that the years that that Blake and Brandon with Jagged X, they probably still have
dominated
the most wins.
Dude, you know who we should get, because he's a big data guy. Fish should do like a UTV vault, like of everything.
It'd be really cool to go back and see that, because like, Blake, how many Vegas Torinos did you guys win in a row? It was like stupid, like 5 or something, like in a row, I think, at one point.
I think we were 5 in a row. 1 year, 900.
Hey, Blake, I'm sorry to interrupt you, bud, but I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or if you're on your cell phone or anything, but maybe you could switch to whatever's the opposite of what you're on so you can get a little bit better connection and then try to join us again so we can hear your audio a little bit better.
You sound like SpongeBob.
Yeah, sound like you're in a fishbowl.
This is why I would never be a good radio host or anything, because I feel so bad telling people that. I would just let him keep talking like he's like a robot, you know?
Audio is the best for us, so I got to make sure we keep the fans happy. Thank you, guys, very much for coming. We really appreciate it. See you later, Daniel.
See you, Schenkelberg.
Yeah, so just being like, he was part of the OG UTV scene. I mean, and then I think it was probably right around the same time or maybe a year or two later, RJ started coming in with the short course UTV stuff, right?
RJ started in the short course stuff in 2000, before Lucas Oil, but 2009 was the year that Lucas Oil got started.
Okay, so it was later then, yeah.
Yeah, but they were going after it in Mexico, probably starting in 2000, or not Mexico, but Best in the Desert, probably 2007, 2008 is probably when Jagged X got going. So
yeah.
And RJ was racing razors in the short course, the smaller classes series then.
Dude, I remember seeing that because that's like when I first got introduced to off-road. I had no idea it existed, and then I went to a race to see Casey Curry race, and I saw it was you and I think Chad George, maybe Garrett George, Ryan Beat maybe, but you were the only four-stroke or whatever I thought on the track. Like there was just the SR1s against you in your car, and I didn't know what motors they had or anything, so I just thought it was four-stroke against two-strokes, but it was obviously different RS1 engine or SR1 engines, and compared to your 800, it was.
Yeah, that's where it first started back in 09. It was an 800. So
it was going against the big built Terexes, which were 750s,
and even
but
the Rhinos were
built out
big stroker motors, and we were just kind of running a basically stock razor motor at the time.
So it was even different. Like the first time that when I saw it was probably a year later.
SR1s came after once the Rhinos kind of were obsolete. And so there were all these race Rhinos out there. And so Weller actually came up with the concept to take an R1 motor and bolt it right into a Rhino and then develop the SR1 class, which was awesome because it gave those Rhinos kind of, a second life on the track because there were so many of them. And
one of the raddest driver classes to watch, too.
For sure. They were pretty fun.
It was cool to see that, though. I always felt like bad because RJ was at such a bad horsepower disadvantage. But then, by the 3/4 of the way through every race, pretty much that I ever watched, I was like, "Yeah, he's picking them off. He's coming." Yeah, dude.
Mr. Consistent.
It was funny. It actually taught me a lot, and it was a good thing looking back now. But at the time, I absolutely hated it. I kind of wanted to just not even do it because you literally try to do all this work, and the razor handles so good. The platform was there. We get on the straightaway, and it'd just be like 1 position, 2 position, 3 position. Okay, and then you get to the corners, and you kind of make it all back. Get to the long straightaway. 1 position, 2 position, 3 position. So it was frustrating there for a bit, but I
bet you it taught you so much, though.
It taught me so much in all aspects, not just the competitiveness, but just kind of sticking with it. Really,
it all came together though. I think it was 2012 when RJ finally won the UTV championship at Lucas, or was that 2011?
When the XP 900 came around.
The 900 came out. He had a Croyer motor package in that thing, and even though he was going against these Terexes, which still at the time had these crazy punched out Muzzies motors, they were spending like Van Beekum and Chad George and those guys, Dan Kelly, there was all these guys back then. They were Kimbrell, man, that's all coming back to me, but they were throwing like $15,000 at Terex engines to go race Lucas Oil, and they just about knew they would need 2 of them to get through the weekend. And RJ was showing up with this razor by himself but then 2012 he was able to really, show what the razor platform was
I remember thinking about it back then too, when I was talking to Casey Curry, and I was like, those Esslinger motors were some of the most expensive motors that you could ever buy, for a 4-cylinder motor. And then the UTV guys are doing just modding the crap out of these ones. I was like, how can anybody afford that? And then finally the 900 comes out, and then the 1000 comes out, and they're like, yes, this is actually getting stock spec, so to speak.
That was a really weird time for UTVs in that window because the Razor had come on. Can-Am was kind of coming out with their thing, but their suspension was kind of junk, and the style of their vehicle was real race friendly. but they had big horsepower. But
And the belt was behind the seat.
Yeah, they were real hard to change. But Terex was too. But the race cars, they ended up getting them pretty well dialed in. But that year in 2012, it was the UTV class was growing and it was fun. But they were starting to race themselves out of a class with the money.
Yeah,
because
it was
you were
too ahead of its time almost.
It was too ahead. Like what come to realize is if you the money you spent to race a side-by-side in 2011, 2012, you could have easily funded a pro light program.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what a lot of guys started to do. Chad George being one of them. RJ obviously stayed with racing razors, but the class, that was when we saw the class change. It actually got real small, and it was just a weird kind of time.
I had Motec in my racer and Coyer tuning it.
Yeah.
It was just like it was ridiculous.
Out of control.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you see, basically building a pro light at that point.
Yeah, it was a weird time for side-by-sides. They had to kind of figure out where to go. And Lucas Oil did a decent job. They got the regional series going as a feeder. They actually bumped side-by-sides out for a little while to that, out of the main show to the regionals, because they had to figure out how we're going to get these car counts back up. But then as the Razor started to evolve, it took over, and now there was room for two classes. You had a 900 class and I think a bigger class, right? That you could do stuff with, and then the car counts all came back up, and it turned into be a pretty special thing at Lucas Oil and Short
Dude, I
Course.
still count my blessings that I was part of that little stint of UTV racing. It felt so cool. First of all, get out there, a dude that's never raced off-road before, and get out there and do it. And then to be part of that little evolution when I got to be on the pro scene and all this other cool stuff. I mean, now it's a little bit different, but it just feels so cool. And kind of like what I was talking about, the OG scene, you guys were at the beginning of that. It must feel so rad now looking back on all that stuff.
It's pretty cool.
It's funny, just at least to me, all the people that would laugh at you or because I was always at the time starting to race trucks and stuff too. So it was always people would poke at me oh, you race trucks, but I'm going to still make fun of you because you race razors.
Right.
People couldn't comprehend why are you racing that?
Yeah.
And it's always funny. I always joke now that the people that used to make fun of me now call me and ask who I can hook up with a deal or what they should put on their builds, or they just bought one, and it's just funny because you can't deny how fun and accessible they are now.
Yeah, because now it's so mainstream. You know what's funny is when we interviewed Rob Mack, he was saying the same thing. They always make fun of me because of the buggy stuff. Always making fun of me. But that was still he to this day still says that was probably or the funnest car he's driven. That's what he loves the most. So
I've had to explain to people on the outside looking into the sport, going back probably, 7, 8 years ago, because they would say I could use Polaris, for example, some individuals, and they're like, man, why are all these off-road guys calling us golf carts? And they still call us rhinos. And, everyone just, any side-by-side was a rhino. And then it turned into any side-by-side was a razor, right? But they would see the golf cart thing that Fish pretty much never let go of.
Well, Fish, he just chimed in and said they're still golf carts, just fast ones.
Yeah, but I was one of the lone soldiers on Race Desert, during 2007 to 2012 that was championing and just pushing the side-by-side thing, and they were golf carts. But then it turned a page to where now golf carts are kind of a term of endearment for the guys who've been around, because that's not what people are calling these things anymore, right? It's kind of the people that were there from the beginning. But just buggy dorks, which and then you have country clubbers, the trophy truck guys. It's kind of a term of endearment, right? If you don't know and you're paying attention, you can think that they're talking smack, but in the core off-road community, there's no more real disrespect. And the guys who are out there oh, get the golf carts out of here, the UTVs out of here, they're just donkeys. When you look at what side-by-sides have done for this entire industry, they really injected a lot of life into the
talking
sport
about
when
it
they needed it.
Absolutely, talking about it nowadays, we had Travis Pointer come on the show a couple weeks ago, and he sent me some results actually last week, and he had, I think it was the third fastest lap or something like that against all of the vehicles. Faster than all the Pro 2s, faster than all the Pro Lights, and I think only maybe the top 5 or top 8 Pro 4s were faster than his Pro Turbo.
Yeah, it's insane. We would laugh about that at Lucas. There was this last year of Lucas Oil, there was no Pro 4 class. So at some of the events, I was racing my Pro 2 and we're pounding our head against the wall, doing everything we can. Ronnie throws a fresh belt on his razor, and he's like a second and a half faster than us. And we're just like, this is the power to weight, and it's 4-wheel drive, and we're just like, oh my gosh, like this is funny, but it's not, at the same time. So,
there were a couple seasons where the side-by-sides were faster than the Pro Lights.
Oh yeah.
They were just literally faster than Pro Lights.
Yep. Yeah, and even now back east at Champ, they're a little bit more flexible with their rules, and they're probably the second fastest other than Pro 4 class out there, I would say, for sure.
It's so crazy. Actually, Caleb Norman just commented in and said, I'd love to use a Razor as an actual golf cart. They just might not let him back on the golf course anymore. But that actually brings up a good point.
That might have happened before.
Yeah. Because everybody looks at the golf course, like, even on dirt bikes, and just like, dude, I could send that one. Like, such fresh chocolate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's so cool for me to see, man. Like I've talked to so many people on the show, 98 episodes of the show. I've talked to 98 guests on the show or more. And every single time I get so stoked on the side-by-side stuff, man. I'm such a huge advocate because it's grown to be what it is today. And after a commercial break, we're going to talk about your involvement in making it what it is today. So it's pretty rad, man. And having all these guys talk about some of the OG stuff, looks like Jesse might be want to join us now. So let's see if we can get Jessy Nelson
woke up from his nap
on the horn here. But yeah, so it's just cool to see. And I mean, like, well, that's a perfect transition, right? Like Jessy Nelson, professional dirt bike racer, won Anaheim Supercross in a 250 the lights class, and now he's racing side by sides. What's up, Jesse? Oh, great.
What's up, guys?
We got another phone bogger here.
That's some difficulties.
We got another phone bogger here. What's going down, dude?
Sorry, I was just sweating my ass off in the garage.
It's good. You're working. You're doing something.
What are you working on?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I was building this little stand to hold my razor.
Oh, right on.
He's got to be working on his new boat.
Or Jeep.
Yeah.
Is it the boat? Are you working on the boat?
No, he said he's working on a stand for his razor.
That's what he's telling us.
Yeah, that's what he's telling us. Yeah.
But he's actually working on the boat.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't weld aluminum. Hardly metal at that. No, the mini boat. That's another task. Somebody else can do that.
Oh, you got one of those little jet boat deals. Like,
have you seen those things?
Oh, dude, I've seen those things. One day, I'm getting on the freeway, or I'm coming home from work on the freeway, and I'm passing Van Buren, and I look over to my right, and I see Jesse's van, 4WP van, and he's got this big Honda jet ski sitting dead center on a 20-foot flatbed trailer.
Nice.
Not a jet ski trailer. He just has his jet ski on the middle of this huge flatbed trailer. And I'm like, what? I call him, like, what are you doing?
Jesse's a get her done kind of guy. I like it.
Best $1,800 ever spent. Yeah. No, I wouldn't pick that thing up over there and then ran into RJ. It's funny, but no, the mini boat's a big task. I've had it going for that. Dude, that was well over a year, huh?
Yeah, that'd be at least 2 years ago, probably.
Yeah, probably pushing the 1.5 year mark.
Yeah.
Oh, at least, yeah, because I moved up here up north almost a year ago. So that's been a project. The engine is mounted now, getting everything mocked up. That's going to come back out, lay down some sound detonating stuff, and then hopefully start wrapping it up.
Dude, that's gonna be pretty badass.
So is it like what Wilkie has? Like one of those
It looked like it.
I hope so. I hope so, but it's definitely not on the same budget as his. I've got an 02 Honda Aquatrax turbo jet ski engine going into it, and it needed some love, so that's going in. That'll save some money though, going on that engine power plant. So that's going in. Got the whole, I don't know about a cage. That'd be a little squirrely maybe. I don't know. We're going to see. But hopefully Troy will have a hand in it and maybe get him to paint it or something.
That'd be sweet.
What is the boat craze, though? Because Justin at Shock Therapy just got one of those little, racing boats.
Dude, have you watched them?
I don't.
Yeah, they look scary.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
they look fun and scary.
That's kind of the fun of them, right?
Dude, for me, it's
the sketchier, the funner.
Hey, boats are hand controlled. So anything that I can get my hands on and that I can do just as good as anybody, I'm all for it. Lot bigger task than I thought. It's a lot of work, but it's coming along. That'll be another thing to add to the arsenal. And then the fact that it's so small too, that was the biggest thing. And then we have a river that goes through here in Paso Robles in the wintertime. It flows pretty good, but in the summer it's got a couple inches of water, but that's all you need with one of those things. So that is our plan.
That's so sketchy. Couple inches of water.
Yeah, that's like the fun with them is like bouncing off.
Do they have a roll cage though? Because you just said that
Some of them do.
Yeah, some of them do. You can get them built. It'd be sweet to get like a CageWorks cage from like a 4-seater and just like put it in CAD design and then just change it a little bit and put exact same like Baja spec or something like that on it would be sick.
That's a good idea, actually.
That's my plan. I'm gonna see if Danny's on board with it. Who knows? Got a lot of different things going on. Jeep just cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Trying to get that thing up and going. So try to do some Jeep events with the 4WB crew. It's been out of commission for a while. Blew a transmission in it in Pismo. Got a couple photos out of it, and then lost my keys in the dunes that day too. Blew a tranny. I blew the rear diff out. Then I just had to get all the lights wired. I didn't have any blinkers, so your hand signals can only go so far until a cop gets a little bummed. So wiring's done, new transmission, new diff. Fuck, dude. I'm sorry. Just a never-ending pile of stuff. Then I blew the transmission out in the Hammer's car. Just fixed that. Then I blew the rear end out again.
Jesse, since I've known him and he's gotten into the 4-wheel world, he's hard on stuff.
Yeah,
Jesse's hard on stuff.
Yeah,
they're not quite as
fixed a lot of stuff.
they're not quite as durable as 2-wheel dirt bikes.
Yeah, you gotta tell them the story about now that you brought up you just got some wiring done. What happened the last time you got some wiring done?
Oh, yeah, that's probably why Mark's not selling hand controls anymore. Right?
So I was linking up with Jesse. You got to tell him the story.
Okay, so I bring my Razor in to get wired for like rigid lights, switch pros and some other stuff and a chase light. And a buddy of mine owns a shop, bring it to him. And then I'm like, hey, just be very careful. Like, here's how the throttle works. Here's how the brake works. Just like respect it, man. Just barely tap it if you're going to go anywhere and just be very cautious. Nobody's even near you. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we got it. And the dude hopped in it and I did him a little tutorial on how to go up and down the street. He was perfect. Like no problems at all. And I was like, oh, it's going to be fine. Call me the next day. Razor's done, ready to pick up, but we got one little problem. I'm like, what's that? He's like, we don't have a bathroom anymore or a security system. And I'm like, what do you mean what happened? They're like, yeah, it got a little sketchy. Got the brake and the throttle mixed up. He just hopped in real quick and didn't think about it. Ran it straight through the bathroom wall, which had the toolbox. It pushed the whole toolbox through the wall, took out the security system, the TV, some electrical. And yeah, Razor was pretty solid. I had a bumper on it. It was pretty fine.
No way.
I broke a fang light and then scratched the wrap, but that was it.
Dude, that's so gnarly.
Yeah.
I had just rolled it the weekend before, so it wasn't like it was a huge bummer.
Holy crap. But you got it back and it was done?
Yeah, but I got a hell of a discount on my wire.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, that's...
But yeah, just stuff like that. It's always something. Yeah, getting ready. I did a bunch of testing a couple weekends ago in Mesquite, Nevada with my buddy Hayden. He used to work for Geico Honda. So having a guy on that type of level helping me out with whether it's suspension setup or just tire grooving to testing different fuels, belt tricks that would never make sense, but they seem to work. And just, a bunch of different stuff.
I'm glad, dude. You've been always jonesing to get your racing program, but more and more ironed out, and it seems like it's finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, we're 6 rounds in, and now finally going to have a race where I have rear brakes. I mean, brakes, period. Power steering. Haven't had power steering yet either. And then hopefully don't get docked this time because I got docked in the last one. Maybe because my last lap time was so much better than the other ones. It seemed like it was.
Got caught?
I didn't, though. That's the thing. I had a GoPro on, and I was like, oh, no, show you my GoPro. First thing that gets roosted is your GoPro. So wasn't able to do anything with that. And then somebody just asked, how did Jesse roll your Razor on the trailer? That wasn't me, but same story as the shop. Somebody got in it, got a little squirrely, grabbed the throttle instead of the brake, ran it into the back of the trailer, looped it up into the back of the van, rode up the van, almost full backflip, and landed upside down, actually on the hood. So like if he would have went a little bit harder, he might have been able to do a full flip.
Like how the monster trucks do it?
Yeah, hit the front of his trailer, through his van, full backflip.
Dude, hey, and I was leaving for Vegas. Like that was the day before I left for Vegas. So my whole back of my van's blown out. Like the windows are gone. The doors all smashed in. The camera's hanging down by like the receiver hitch. And I just backed it as close as I could to my driveway and was like, all right, see ya. And then hopefully that rain. But snapped the tongue of the trailer. Luckily I was at Colton Haker's house. So I just left it outside there and drug it in.
Those hand controls that Holes builds are insane.
Yeah.
But Jesse will tell you, like he's used to it.
George knows.
Oh yeah, you've driven with him probably too.
No,
right?
I drove Jesse's.
Oh, okay. So
in
you
his
know,
garage.
like just how there's.
But I messed up too.
Yeah, there's not a lot of finesse with the throttle.
I didn't blow out the back of a van, but they were touchy.
Yeah.
Tell me what really happened.
I was backing up, and I just like, I don't know. I just hit it, and I just went like straight back, and I didn't know quick enough to grab the other one, which is the brake, and I just like bumped in like right into the front bumper of the Bronco or the Jeep.
Another battle scar.
Hey, but I was behind that thing probably 2 seconds before we hit it.
Yeah.
When I walk around Jesse's Razor, it doesn't matter if he's in it or somebody else. I treat it like a horse.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't know if it's going to kick you or reach over and bite you or something, you know? Just stay like 10 feet away around it, you know? Keep a good distance away from that Razor.
Hey, but we got your shock springs installed though, dude. So it was a successful day.
Oh, it was. But no, yeah, my race car is a thoroughbred. She don't feed off alfalfa, that's for sure.
And I'm glad that you're getting things ironed out, dude. It's cool to see because I know that your race program is going to really step up, and you're going to be able to make some success in this four-wheel off-road stuff.
Pretty amazing what some outside help can do, and I mean my RS1 has always been my lesser favorite compared to like the turbo cars and stuff, but now it's absolutely my favorite. It's so dialed right now.
Dude, those things are so fun, man. You guys got to agree with me on that.
Oh, yeah.
I have one, and I don't even do anything with it, but I just have to have it.
Yeah. You can't get rid of it.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I
where's the
bought
snowmobile you're building?
Yeah, that's actually coming back. I'm bringing it back.
You're building a snowmobile?
Yeah, we actually did we put a 2-stroke motor in an RS1.
Yeah.
And long story short, it was kind of like a behind, the scenes deal, but long story short, I ended up getting it not that long ago, and it's actually in Minnesota right now. When we come home from Crandon, we're bringing it back, so going to get to go play with that thing.
That's cool. So we can change the subject a little bit, but Don Haugen said that he hopes you three-peat at Crandon this year.
Oh, man, I hope so, too.
Yeah.
That'd be the way to go.
That would be pretty sweet. Have you ever gone to Crandon, Jesse? Because I want to go up there and check it out.
I really want to go. It just sucks that I don't have a car set up for it. I want to go race it.
How different is the setup for that place?
It's a little bit different because Works is I love.
Oh no, like Lucas setup kind of.
Yeah, exactly, Lucas style. Really, really small tires and wheels, as light as you can get it. They have certain you have to have a rock screen. I think they have certain cage thickness rules and certain things like that you almost have to build a car. At least start with a car for that, and then you can adapt it to other things. But it's hard to take a Works car and adapt it to
Dude,
that.
honestly, I keep telling Jesse he needs to get out the Texplex because that moto track he would freaking rip on that thing, dude.
Oh, for sure. The tough part is
but it kind of sucks if you don't have. I hear it sucks if you don't have a built motor.
Yeah, that's one of the tough things about it. Is one, the drive. It's a super far drive, just to go if you have any problems.
I'm down for the drive. That's easy.
Yeah. But that we were
to be competitive.
We had a rude awakening with that too. Is it's just the rule is NA. You just can't have a turbo. So from there, all holds barred, go for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could have like a 1290 motor as long as it's naturally aspirated. So
you break out the old Croyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, yeah, get
that's
the big
what sucks though. Is I can't. I mean, I can, but how competitive am I going to be? And is it going to be worth the drive to be so under horsepower and everything like that? And then I got to go race that. I can put an engine in it. Yeah, I can build it up. But then if I want to go race Works, then I'm not eligible for that.
Yep. Yeah, it sounds like hopefully they're going to change that rule, at least starting next year, so that that doesn't happen.
Or just and then just have another unlimited class that people can just go have.
Yep. Yeah, they already have that.
19,000 cc
They already
motor.
have the turbo open class or whatever, So I think it limits some people because, like what Jesse said, I mean, no one wants to build multiple cars, to do work stuff and everything. You got to be a stock motor.
Yeah.
And so
No,
to go out there.
I want to build multiple cars.
Yeah.
My wallet doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, when I went out there to see that track and like hung out for those couple days, I was like, good God, this is a motocrosser's dream.
Yeah.
Like, this place is just insane. Like, somebody like Jesse would just go rip that place up.
Yep.
Dude, Works has a motocross track. That's why I do it.
That place is like an outdoor national, dude. It looks so cool. And I'm not promoting Texplex. They don't do anything to help the show, but I just thought it was so cool when I went out there, man. All right, so what's on the roster coming up quick, Jesse?
September 3rd to the 5th, I will be at the Cedar City Works Race, which is, dude, have you seen the posts they've been putting out for that?
No.
They're doing like a beer garden, concert area. They have like a huge zip line across the pond. They have like those big like slide ramps that go into ponds.
Yeah.
Or like a pool or whatever. Yeah, they have like 3 of those.
I know a guy who's
Yeah,
got one of them
I know a
things.
guy.
No, like they put a.
Oh yeah, just like RJ's, but there's like 3 of them.
Yeah. I was
And
bummed.
it looks like all white beach sand. It's sweet.
Yeah, it's the same weekend as Crandon for me because otherwise I have a Pro XP race car and I haven't raced it. Ronnie's raced it a couple times, but I haven't even raced it
For
in
Works?
over a year. Yeah, I've built it a year and a half ago and I've only raced it 2 times just because the schedule conflicts so much. And I wanted to go do that event, but I can't make it.
If you don't get spinal at the freaking ramp, the water ramp they have, then you can race it.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. I really wanted to go hit the slip and slide.
Yeah.
Hey, get Gil to throw some hand controls in. I'll race it
Yeah,
for RJ.
there you go.
I don't know how well you'll do, but yeah.
Yeah, after all that conversation about, everyone flipping and wrecking with those hand controls, Jesse.
After Jesse gives it back, it'll just be your backflip car.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Hey, so
Oh man,
hey, I want to keep you on for a couple more minutes if you can, Jesse. I wanted to talk to RJ about XP1K. Have you seen those videos that he's done?
Yeah.
Dude, and we're talking about like doing backflips and stuff. Like he legit did a backflip, like donuts in the I don't know, in the containment thing that he saw, like all that stuff.
Those are gnarly, yeah. But I think some of the doubles he hit were even scarier. Like
for sure.
Big
some
ones.
were so big.
For sure.
Yeah, those were a lot
Like
of
the
fun.
drops
It's
or the
funny
bikes.
when someone like Jesse comes on, because like for me that was the scary part for me is the doubles and some of the sections we hit is we didn't really do any. We had Rusty that was helping us a lot of times from a remote location, but we didn't have any stunt coordinator on set for really any of these. So
Whoa, dude, that's squirrely. I would have told them to build them tabletops before I even tried. At least a plateau.
a couple of the big ramp jumps we were able to
do
move
some
them,
stuff,
start it close
Yeah.
and move it back.
Hey
But-
Jesse, will you turn the volume down or anything on your phone? It sounds like we're getting some reverb. But
My bad.
yeah, it's like to me all that stuff is still so crazy. Like I wanted to ask first, like get Joey's opinion on it. What were some of the gnarliest things that you came out of those videos with, like the 50-50 grind, the big doubles, like the jumping off the cliff, like going through, like maybe when he interrupted your selfie, like what were some of the gnarliest things that you've done with the XP1K or you saw with the XP1K?
Well, I mean, through all 4 of them,
Will you turn your volume all the way down, Jesse?
Sorry.
you might have to there you go. All of them, there were things that happened during XP1K filming, 1 through 4, that just, they'll always stick with me. I think when I look back on it, a lot of the kind of the more memorable moments are that people remember by watching them are the same ones that, stand out to me. Like when you think of XP1K3, the train jump and just, he makes things look so easy, and the way the filming comes out, you can tell they're gnarly. Everything had consequence to it. But you don't really know until you're there and you're the one standing at the bottom of the ramp, and we're kind of like, well, how fast do you think you should go in this one? He's like, I don't know. How fast do you think I should go in this one? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like maybe hit it at like 30 and just kind of see how it works
exactly
out,
what I'm talking about, though, is I want to understand the behind the scenes, because some of that stuff, there's no possible way to gauge it.
No, there really isn't.
Yeah, and here's the tough thing that I'm sure Jesse can speak for this also is
If he can hear it. Look at that. That's sweet, dude. So for the guys that are listening on audio, you can check it out. Jesse's doing a bunch of filters on his Instagram.
Yeah.
Stick with that
for
one.
for a razor, there's not much with the CVT system. It's like a progressive feeling. So you could be going 40 and you could ramp up to 40, or you can be going 40 because you're decelerating. And
Right.
so like on a dirt bike or something with a gearbox or something like that, you have feeling. You have hell that jumps probably a third gear, like just wrap it out right at the lip, or that's a fourth gear pin jump, or anything of that range is there's feeling, in comparison, where in a razor, I don't ever really hit a jump and people ask, how fast did you hit that? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't look down.
Can't be looking
The speedometer doesn't correlate with the wheel speed quick enough, so it's a tough thing to always correlate. When people ask me how to jump, I'm like, I can't teach you how to jump. It's something that you gotta feel, and kind of like go from experience.
Feeling and commitment. That's why, like, when you look back at XP1K, the forever, I'm sure you feel the same way. Like the first one is just kind of like that's where the bar was set, because it was so different. Each one after that, they were all difficult in their own way. They all had their own challenges, and things got bigger and the machine got gnarlier. But the very first one, it was just Wild West, like there was no way to know if we were going to do how we would be able to pull things off, or actually make, will the vehicle handle it. And it came back to bite us, bite him, on a couple of things that we did that weren't fun. But at the same time, like that first XP1K, where it was we just knew we were going to melt people's minds, because
Dude, setting the bar, like,
no one had seen anything like this in a side-by-side. And the whole goal was to really give this entire sport, all the people that were loyal to side-by-sides at that time, when you were trying to explain to somebody like what a razor is.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell them, it's like this 4-wheel thing. Think of like a mini buggy. Like, we knew we could create a piece of content. They could say, let me show you what a razor is.
Dude, yeah.
And be able to pull up XP1K and push play, and just at that point, like, it didn't matter what you were into, you could gain appreciation and be like, dang, that thing's gnarly. That's pretty cool,
Exactly. What was the thing that you remember most about XP1K, Jesse?
I was bummed it wasn't my idea.
You were still out there like making a name for yourself on two wheels,
Dude, we got to call it XPJK now.
XPJK.
It sounds like he's done a
Jesse
few
knows.
XP1K type stunts on his own, just getting on and off of trailers.
No, I always wanted to do something like that with Moto too, and then just never. I mean, getting the time to do that in the group together in the right band of people, it's a huge.
It's a big effort. It's a big effort.
Yeah, it's not just let's go film a video. it's definitely a lot harder than people realize.
Did you have a most memorable moment of what you saw RJ do in his XP1K video series?
The helicopter dropping down, and then
I remember that.
Actually, out of all the jumps and all the things like that in that video, where RJ banks that left, and there's the two trees, and he drifts it, but then somehow still makes it between those two trees. Like that
between them.
Yeah, that was like the coolest thing
See,
ever.
so
If you would have been like,
you were
2
close to
inches
that
off.
one tree though, right? Like the outside one, I thought it was.
It was literally, I mean, the thing like didn't want to fit through there. You had to kind of squeeze it through there. And it's funny that like someone like Jesse sees that, because people I guarantee watch that video a million times and they're like, oh, that was the easiest thing. And that was probably one of the hardest things in the video.
For sure. There's so many things in the stunts that the stuff in between the stunts, and even the stunts themselves, that we would fight to have in the video, because the average guy wasn't some big, huge airborne, huck, but the drivers would watch that and know, like, that's cool. Like this sliding between the trees, or the way he would make some of the turns and set himself up. We wanted to show way more than what would end up making it into the video, mainly because it had to be cut so tight.
Yeah.
But the drivers would understand.
Yep.
They would appreciate like what he was doing and the precision that it took.
Dude, yeah, it would be cool to see. I know you guys have released some of the stuff, or when at the time you released some of the stuff, like the behind the scenes stuff, but like to see.
That's like my favorite part of the video.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was getting. I want to get behind the scenes, right? To see, obviously, like what you said, RJ, what Jesse notices and stuff. Don Haugen said all those videos were so awesome. He wishes somebody else would be able to supply some money so you could go out and do them again.
But that's the thing,
would you
too,
even
is,
want
like,
to do
how
those
you
again?
top that?
Yeah, that's
How
like,
do you top that video though?
like Jesse said, it comes to a point where you can only do the so many things over in different ways before you lose people's
dude,
interest.
it's like skateboarding, though. You don't have to top it. You just have to show that technical stuff, like what Joey was talking about. Like, just showing, like, the driver stuff and the gnarliness of these little idiosyncrasies is so sick.
It really kind of comes, like, you're right? You're right, for sure. But the money that it really truly takes and the effort to go out and produce that type of stuff, that's really the hard part, right? Like, RJ's right. Like, we reach a point where you've pretty much, you're at the point now with the jumps that he's done, that to go bigger, is it really worth the consequence at this point, right? Like, is it going to be big enough that it's going to go viral, right? So you have to weigh all these things in between them. But he's not done. Don't let him fool you. I'm not going to say too much, but just know that me and this guy were working on something at the end of last year where I got to be out there, and it was a lot of XP1K coming back that will be released. But that said, like, he's not done doing cool stuff like that. For sure. I think people are going to get a real kick out of when they see RJ make his return back to the viral scene.
Man, I think that's super cool. The industry needs it, you know what I mean? And, like, even the stuff that Jesse's so appreciative of, like, or he wants to do, like, I would love to see him, even if he was just going to film it on his cell phone like Axel Hodges does for motocross. Like, I would love to see Jesse post stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's a perfect example, too, is I think one good thing that we've had a little bit of break in between, you know, some of the last videos and kind of what we've been working on, but it's so accessible through your phone now. I mean, kinda, social media was already around when we were doing it, but now, I mean, people's attention spans are so short with, you know, Instagram Reels and TikToks and all these things. Like, if you can't show them in 15 seconds, grab their attention, wow them, and make them want to watch it again, I mean, it's tough to do those.
I'm listening to a book right now called The 3 Second King, because that's all you have now.
Yeah, exactly. You really do. You got to hook them in early. I know this because doing all this retail marketing that I'm in now, right? Like, pushing a sale ad out, a video ad. It's very hard. You got to get, like, the hook out in the first 5 seconds, because
a hook, like, hey, it's Joey D.
Yeah, no, I'm not wasting my time with that. It's got to be like you're going to save a bunch of money this way.
What'd you say, Jesse?
I said, I feel like RJ's been doing a really good job with that, with him and Ronnie.
Yeah,
for sure.
With, like, the vlog type stuff, I think that's been doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it grabs your attention right away.
Yeah,
like when you were at Sturgis, it's Friday.
Yeah, we try to have fun, man, and it's a lot of work, and it's one of those things that it's kind of just one of those, we do it while we're there, you know, but it's a out-of-pocket expense that we do because we enjoy it, you know, and we have fun doing it while we're doing it. So
the time consumption is always the hardest part,
dude.
though.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
like, even when I, like, set out and I was like, hey, I want to try to do as many as we can this year, and, like, dude, the media and putting videos together, and the guys that can have the attention span for it and can, you know, they see it before they actually get to work on it. But that's a art in itself.
I think Jesse does a good job with it too. All right, Jesse, hey, we're gonna go to commercial break. You got any other stuff you want to tell us about before we let you go?
It would hit me later, I'm sure. But anyways, I don't know. Well, thanks for having me on, and it's good to chat with you guys. Thank you.
Always,
dude. Jesse.
Thanks, homie.
Better call next time you're down. See you, buddy. Good luck in Mesquite.
Sounds good.
Later, man. So it's kind of cool that we get to talk about it from a different perspective, right? Like, I race dirt bikes and all that stuff. I was never at a level like Jesse was, but it's always cool for me to see the different perspective of what he noticed in those amazing videos, right? Like you said, Joey, like, everybody knows the 50-50 ground over the logs, right? I mean, that's so cool. But did they see that he was this far away from a tree coming out of a corner? Like,
well, we always said that. Like, what's cool about XP1K is you could have watched it already and watched it a couple of times, but every time you watch it, you can go back and see something else.
Yeah.
That you're like, whoa, I never caught that, you know, or that was crazy. Because the first time you watch it and you're taking it in, it's going so fast.
Yep.
And you remember kind of those big moments that you have to go back through and watch it again to catch all the in-between stuff that was happening.
Dude, what was the perspective when you actually watched it, RJ, after you did it? Because, like, that's got to be a totally different viewpoint. Like,
yeah, it's one of those things that so much time goes into it. I mean, from the planning of it to the vehicles of it to the filming of it to the editing, like, it's way more time than anyone ever thinks. I mean, some of them, I think XP1K3, we're on set for 14 days.
Yeah.
We're on set. Just like, that's just film days.
It's a thrash.
2 weeks in a row, and I crashed the very second day on some concrete, hurt myself, and I was just sore the whole time. So
spinal.
It wears you out, and mentally, there's so many stunts. Even some of the stunts that are small, you're like, mentally wearing yourself out because, yeah, you could crash or whatever, and you're not going to be that hurt. But now you have 20 guys that are all standing around that are waiting for you to, get action and film and then keep moving stuff on. So you crash the car on something dumb.
Yes, and every 15 minutes costs money.
Yeah, exactly. So it's mentally taxing. Even some of the stunts that you don't see that are big, some of the bigger stunts are almost some of the easier ones because we're so prepared.
Yeah.
We do to put the time in before and we do some testing, and some of the bigger stunts are the ones we're prepared for. It's the ones that things we've never done before. It's things that didn't even make the video sometimes, trying to board slide a razor, and it's like half a day worth of work that we just totally failed and
destroyed 2 cars in the process.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how many things you guys had to fix. Travis Sullivan just said, "How did you get out of the circle of death?"
That's the question. We cannot tell you.
Yeah.
That's the
unanswerable question.
That's going to live forever.
I still call Seth from the wall of death every once in a while. We have a conversation.
Yeah, he's still in it.
there?
He's still in it. Legend has it the razor's still going round and round, waiting for him to return and drive it out.
And Don Haugen just said, "I wish RJ would do more stuff in a UTV." Well, who knows, Don? Maybe that'll happen. That's pretty cool that he's doing that. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, 5 minutes or so. We will be right back.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target, and we are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Zollinger Racing builds the best aftermarket products available. Products for your UTV or snowmobile, including billet radius rods, billet tie rods, billet steering knuckles, billet steering racks, alternator kits, and much more. All manufactured in the United States in-house at their headquarters in Nibley, Utah. Travis Zollinger and his team test in some of the most brutal conditions, racing in places like the Best in the Desert Mint 400, Ultra 4 King of the Hammers, UTV World Championships, and many more. Visit ZollingerRacingProducts.com and use the code DIRTLIFE to get 10% off your next purchase, and join us on social media at Zollinger Racing Products to see our products in action. Zollinger Racing, the best products, period. Yeah, finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I've been trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux It decontaminates and cleans like let's say a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there, or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up instead of
It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah. Also, as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel. And then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, Chase trucks have it as well, so that if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. We are back. Episode 98 of the Dirt Life Show with the infamous Joey D and RJ Anderson. So thank you, Joey, for joining us today.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we got a bunch more stuff to talk about that I think will be pretty fun, but I would like to see if you guys would be down to play Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader?
I don't think I have a choice.
I feel like Joey's witty with this stuff. I'm feeling a pretty big upset from Joey coming.
If it's based around wit, I'll be all right. If it's like based around knowledge, and I don't have Google at my fingertips, it could expose me.
Dude,
how are you in like history and stuff like that?
I'm actually pretty good with history.
Oh, they do. You might be dialed in.
You're gonna lay
It
this
depends
one
on
down.
the type of history.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, too, like if you had like a lifeline, you could easily call the boys, too. That would be pretty sick. Maybe we should elevate this and have just an episode with Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader?
That'd be
all
pretty
right.
good.
Boys, so the rules for Are You Smarter Than a Third Grader, RJ's already got a little bit of an advantage since he's played it before.
All right.
Your name is your buzzer. So if you want to answer a question, you say your name. And because it's audio, so you guys want to say your name. And then you get first dibs on answering. If you don't get it right, the other person has a chance to steal.
Okay, so you're going to ask the question, and it's the first person to
So you
say
say
their
Joey,
name
I
to
say
be able to
RJ.
answer it.
Yep.
Okay.
So first question, are you smarter than a third grader with Joey D and RJ Anderson? What is the largest planet in the solar system?
Oh, shoot. I think I'll go for this one.
Okay, so you got to say Joey.
Yeah, Joey.
All right,
I'm
Joey.
going to go with Jupiter.
Dude, nailed it right out the gate.
Damn, I was gonna say Saturn. See, so that's why I'm glad I didn't jump in.
Yeah, he would have stole then. So, all right, second question. Are you smarter than the third grader? What is the fastest land animal?
Ooh. Wait.
Name is your buzzer.
RJ.
Yeah, RJ.
Land animal? Cheetah?
Yep, nailed it. All right, hey, and
See,
so
I felt like Cheetah was like almost too easy.
obvious, yeah.
So I was
no,
thinking,
don't
thinking
overthink
myself.
it. I always
Yeah.
do the same thing. And just to let both of you guys know, Ronnie had a special technique. He would yell out his name before the end of the question.
And then not even know the answer.
And then he would give himself, you have 5 seconds to answer as well. So he would like give himself that 5-second buffer. So he'd jump the gate and then just wait for everybody.
There has to
Sometimes
be
we
like
didn't even know the question all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be like a negative thing that happens then.
Yeah, like you get punished.
Yeah.
Well, since I didn't make the rules, Ronnie was playing by my rules. So how many legs does a lobster have?
Joey,
All right, Joey.
I'm going to go with 8.
Ooh, close. Nope.
RJ.
All right.
10.
Yeah. All right,
That
so
was
you're
just luck.
you got 2 then?
I knew it. It
Yes.
wasn't 8.
Yeah, you knew it wasn't 8 and had to go up from there.
This one totally got me. I didn't get the answer for this one. What is the term for a baby goat? What is the term for a
I
baby
know this.
goat?
I've heard it.
The 3 answers was calf, something else, and kid. What is the term for a baby goat?
RJ, I'm going to go with kid.
Yep. nailed it.
Oh, you were given the answer, so it was like multiple choice.
Well,
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't calf and it couldn't be something else.
Yeah.
So it had to be kid.
I know what a baby kangaroo is because I never lived down.
Joey.
What is it? Is
Joey.
it Joey?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. This one was a really good one. What was the first animal to go into orbit?
Oh, Joey, monkey,
No.
No?
RJ,
rat, mouse, or something.
no,
probably.
you want to steal?
Yeah, RJ.
RJ.
Cat.
No. What's Nixon?
Dog.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's what I said too, because I
Thought
totally
for
was
sure
on
it was
the-
a monkey.
I was
Yeah,
totally
I
on the
thought you
same
were-
page
I
as
thought-
Joey.
yeah, I thought you were gonna be
I
right.
thought he was gonna nail it, and I was like, nope, it was a dog, and it was like, dude, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Who was the inventor of the telephone?
Joey. Alexander Graham Bell.
Dude, nailed it.
Dude,
All right.
that was fast.
Like a
Well,
twist.
the history ones I'm okay with.
I couldn't
like,
say my own name that fast.
A crack of the throttle, dude. Let's see here. Oh, this is a pretty good one, too. Are you smarter than a third grader? Question. How many valves are in the human heart?
4. Oh, Joey. 4?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Funny fact. I actually had a type of heart surgery when I was 16.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I had
You still got the scar?
I had an ablation. Yeah. Well, it's weird. They didn't do like an open heart. They went in through my like arteries here in my neck and in my legs. I have a thing called a tachycardia that your brain sends signal to your heart to beat. And I had 2 of these nodes that catches the signal. And so randomly it could just kick on. So I could just be sitting here like you guys and my heart rate would go to 220 beats per minute.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Like just sitting here at resting heart rate. And what happens is when that happens is it pumps so fast. It just pumps deoxygenated blood through your system. So it feels like your windpipe's closing off and
Dude, that's crazy.
pass out.
How gnarly is it to your head? Like,
Oh, it was gnarly. Yeah. Passed out a few times and kind of wrecked a whole year of high school sports for me and couldn't get cleared and had the surgery and never had a problem since.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm stoked for you. All right, what's the points then? How many do you have, RJ?
2?
You got 4 now?
I think we're tied.
Okay,
I know we're not tied. I was being modest. I don't know what the score is, but I know we're not tied.
4-2. I thought you had 3, RJ.
Yeah, I think I got 1 right, and then 2 of Joey's ones that he got wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I got 3.
Play the
4
tape.
to 3?
Play the
Okay,
tape.
yeah, play the tape. We're going with 3-4. All right, we're gonna get into a little bit more of a technical question. You just baked a fresh apple pie, but your cousin, Hungry Marty, just ate 45% of it. What percentage of pie
RJ.
do you have left?
55.
Dude, see? That's the Ronnie technique that I was
But
telling
that
you
was just
about.
a simple math question. I was waiting for him to
No.
have the catch, like, where you do a play on words, and then it's like, no,
It's tied.
you had this,
We're tied.
Okay, nice job.
Yeah, good job, man.
RJ's better with math than I am.
All right.
Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah.
I'll never forget who invented the telephone now.
All right. Well, if we're talking about math and the questions, you have $20. You give $9 to your friend RJ and $5 to your other friend Ronnie. How much do you have left?
RJ. 6.
See? Huh?
$6.
Yeah. Nailed it. Dude, you got to get on the Ronnie program. That's what wins the game. That's how Ronnie came back.
I just got to say it.
Yeah.
It
I
does.
was
You
still
do
doing
wait.
the
You
math
do
in
wait
my
for
head.
something harder.
I was still doing
Like-
Yes, I'm
So-
waiting for the catch.
I can do the numbers in my head. I could do that part.
All right, so the game's tied up now. We're going to go with the final question of death.
Oh, boy.
This one's going to be pretty hard, man. Where does paper come from?
Oh, George. I said RJ. He said his
Double
name
RJ?
first. He said his name first.
All right, RJ got it. Trees.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel confident that I'm smarter than a third grader at least.
Yeah.
Do you want to go with
That's right.
another one or no? You good?
No, it's all good.
Did you know rubber comes from trees? I'm sure.
Yeah. Rubber tree.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
I tell people that and they think I'm lying.
Oh, weren't there a bunch of rubber trees in Australia when we were there?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the OG UTV scene as well. I mean, honestly, we could talk for days about that stuff. I mean, it's just insane how far UTVs have come in, I don't know, the past 10 years, 12 years. But I want to ask both of you guys, if you could pick one moment that was a game changer that elevated the whole scene, could you pick one?
I could.
And what would it be?
Just anything throughout the industry?
Let's just say in the last 10 years, 12 years.
I think the XP1000.
Yeah.
The XP1000 elevated. I mean, definitely. I've worked with players for over 10 years now, but it just elevated the whole game. It was, in my opinion, the first sport UTV. Even though they're called sport UTVs before that, it was the first sport UTV, and I think people saw that. For the first 3 years or so that it was out, it was just ahead of its time, kind of.
Yeah.
And I think it has brought the competition and they got such a leap. Even some manufacturers coming in now are still trying to catch up to the advantage that players had all that time ago. Obviously there's been others that have caught up way faster, and that's what I love about UTVs is the competition in it now, the manufacturers, the sport, and how competitive everyone is. But I think if I had to put something the last 10 years, that's probably the biggest game changer in our sport.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's pretty good. I don't want you to pick the same answer though, so you got to pick something different if you're going to pick it.
Yeah, I mean that is a defining moment, obviously.
Right.
I think if you go back in time, you could also make the same case for even the Terex and then the Razor 800 and 900, right? Like that was what was so cool about that time of being involved in the sport is every year it was evolving and progressing.
Right.
And, new series taking it on.
But not just like a little bit
but,
more horsepower, not just like a little bit more suspension. I mean, these are like
these were like
massive.
platform changes and just total evolution, right? And that was just, we've seen kind of the plateau now of that, but we know the manufacturers still have stuff up their sleeve. It's just a matter now of like how fast the progression went. It went so fast. As far as like a game changing, defining moment, that would have been the one I would have anchored on
Just
as well.
lift it up a little bit more towards your nose.
Sorry.
There you go.
That would have been the one I would have anchored into as well, just as a definitive moment in the history and probably entirely, right? Because it changed the trajectory of the sport where it fully legitimizes it or legitimized the industry and brought people in. And like RJ said, there is other OEMs playing out there, but at the time that was it. Well, I would say from like the industry side, going outside of that, I would again kind of call me a homer, but the XP1K video, the very first one, in timing with the XP1000, that's how we launched that platform with Polaris. But that video propelled. It was the coolest launch of any platform ever, having that video prepared at the dealer show to go live. But that video gave the enthusiasts, the people that were already invested into the sport and who were already championing UTVs in the industry, that gave all of those members of the industry and the sport something to be proud of.
100%.
And that was cool. It was something that it didn't matter if you were a Cowie guy or a Yamaha guy or a Can-Am guy. Everybody could be proud of that video to be able to say like this guy right here just represented our little niche to the rest of the world in such a cool way that forever changed it.
And it also showcases it to people that have no idea that UTVs exist as well.
No idea.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the same thing I was going to go on. Actually, Rusty just commented in one of your buds that you started UTV Underground with, and he said, "How many more years is it going to take that we can build rhinos and they'd be cool again?"
When they're relics.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny is I see some rhinos.
But Joey's into old cars; they're cool now.
Hey, I have tried to buy back. You were showing the picture of the original Fat Rod.
Should I show it again?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Rusty's probably over there drooling.
Well, yeah, me and Rusty pissed off a lot of neighbors building that roll cage on the left in his garage overnight one night. But the Fat Rod on the right, it's still out there. It's gone through like 4 different owners, but surprisingly, it's in really good shape. I would love to get my hands back on it. I've tried to buy it a couple of times. They want it just like astronomical money for what it is, a 2006 Rhino. But their sentimental value, obviously, I feel like that car helped put side-by-sides, on the map a little bit at that time, right?
Yeah.
In 2008, 2009. It just helped people see like, wow, you can really do a lot with these things outside of just turning them into dune cars or race cars. But the paint on that, with Wally,
that's so cool,
Wally painted that thing, rest in peace. And so I'd love to get my hands back on that thing and restore it. And
so to answer Rusty's question, do it now, bud.
Yeah, do it now. I still see people out there building rhinos like at the river and stuff and cruising them around.
They still cruise it. And to your point, dude, I'd love to own the first XP1K car. Even through us, it went through a transition and got switched into XP1K2. And then I think it got sold as a race car, and who knows where it's at now. But if anyone does have it, I would like to buy it back and I'm just going to hang it. I'm not.
All right, we're going to put out all-point bulletin for anybody that knows where that bad boy is.
Yes.
So
we actually talked about that not long ago.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, we had the conversation. He's like, "Do you have any idea who bought that car and where it might be?" And
those are like those things like Mitch Payton keeps the old championship bikes. Like that's kind of stuff like that, man. Like I wish more people would do that. I mean, side by side's a little bit more expensive, but it is what it is. So going back to that question about what, in your opinion, changed the UTV market over the past 10 or 12 years, I couldn't agree with you guys more about those individual changes. But in my opinion, this is like a good lead into our next subject, is the hard work of people like both of you guys. So when I think about UTVs and the way that I got into them personally, and I know a bunch of people are the same path that I took, I didn't know UTVs existed until I saw them from Casey Curry. And then the first place I went was UTV Underground.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people behind that. And those people that are behind that, the driver of XP1K, the people that filmed XP1K, the person that put it together, the person that gave us the platform like UTV Underground. I think if without those people in the industry putting all the effort into something that they loved, off-roading, and being enthusiasts themselves, that was my opinion. That's what gave it the growth that it did.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a passion project. It was a hobby. It was something that I just had a passion for. Rusty was a big part of that in those early years, pushing me to start something because we were so involved in both Race Desert and Rhino forums at the time as members. So starting that site as a forum was purely just for fun,
right? And
to get free parts to build my Rhino,
yep.
Which I totally accomplished. And then when companies like Muzzies and Rugged Radios and PCI, even these companies in the early years said, "Hey, we've given you parts, but can we give you some money?" And that turned into me seeing an opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to give up this day job that I've just been doing because I fell into it as a teenager and go all in with my passion. And
that's cool that they see value in you though too.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing because, I have this imposter syndrome. I always feel like, why me? Like I'm not doing anything special. Like, I just had that passion and that love for it. And people gravitated to that. And plus, I always tried to make sure we did things that were authentic, and cool. As somebody who
it wasn't fake,
I wasn't somebody who just said like, I lived the life, or I'm an off-roader. Like I truly was. Like that's what I spent all my extra money in. That's as my family started. I started to have a family, and my wife and I. That's all of our vacations evolved around going to the desert or where we were going to off-road. So it was pure passion, but you're right. I mean, I think that this sport grew like it did because of whether it was companies, racers, or individuals that were in the media end that just truly loved the sport, poured everything into it and fought for it to be cool and be legitimized and continue to progress it and evolve it.
100%. And Jacob Peter just chimed in too with a massive thing that he thinks that changed it is the Razor 170, because that by itself was a game changer. I mean, we're all stoked because we're grown-ups, right? But like, it goes along exactly what you just said. It's living the family lifestyle in the desert, right? And now you give everybody the chance to live it.
The 170, we'll look back on that one day and look at that as probably being the cornerstone of the evolution of this sport.
Yep.
Razor, having produced that vehicle, they had no idea that would turn into what it did.
I would have even never guessed even at the time.
No, and that was one of the big things for me. Like with the World Championship, was we're gonna have 170s there. We're gonna give these kids an opportunity to shine. And you got Seth Quintero sitting over here, who's made a pretty good career for himself at 18 years old already. But it all started with that 170.
100%.
And now it's just where kids were, parents were putting their kids on dirt bikes, or going go-kart racing.
Now they have another option.
Now they're taking them straight to off-road and putting them in a 170. And now Polaris just introduced another youth model that's a step up. And now there's this really fluid set of vehicles for kids to develop in, both recreationally and competitively.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. And the fact that RJ drove one of those Razor 170s at Camp Razor that one year, I think against Travis Strong and those guys. You did too?
Oh, that was the dumbest thing.
Because, dude, wasn't everybody's neck out the side of the car?
I had a beautiful helmet. I still have it. This beautiful helmet that just got delivered out there, and it still looks like someone took a Sharpie to the top of it from where my head was bouncing off the roll cage.
We're missing a key ingredient to these 170 races here. So the very first year we're doing it, and like Joey said, they were miserable. Even though the jumps weren't big or anything, we don't fit.
All right, so let's give a little backstory to the audience, though. Big guys racing 170s.
Camp Razor.
Little kids' cars in Glamis, the worst conditions ever at Camp Razor. Yeah. So it was kind of like a sideshow and one of the events they were doing at Camp Razor. So a lot of people, racers and industry people, and just a mix of a whole bunch of different people that do not fit in these cars.
Yes.
Go race each other, have some fun. So it was like a heat format, and I forget how it all shook down, but at the end of the day, Joey thought it'd be hilarious to turn my gas off.
Got him.
Got him.
So I was sitting there going, okay, lap one. I'm waiting for it to stall out.
So I mean, even though it's a 170 race, you're in the competition. You know, you're there to beat everyone
Big
else.
racer guy.
Big racer guy. We found some cheat lines. I think, Pastrana, there was a bunch of big names in it. Like, it wasn't
Dak
just
Shepard.
Dude, but with your heads hanging out, like your broken neck going like.
Oh, I mean, we were so heavy and they were so low to the ground with us in it, I don't think you could roll it because we're in the sand. We weren't going very fast.
I rolled one, actually. In the Middle East in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Oh, dude.
So my 170 career went up in a ball of flames when Joey shut my fuel off. I think I was in second place and ran out of gas.
I got done dirty by Dak Shepard, like totally dirty. And so then I was just frustrated because I was eliminated. So I was like, I've got to figure something out. So I shut the fuel off, and then me and his dad and a couple others, we sat there going, it's going to die. And then all of a sudden watching it die.
Yeah, like caused like a pile up because I was just sitting in the middle of the course.
It was good. Yeah. The 170 races were great. And that platform as a whole, man, I have some great memories of my kids competing in their 170, playing in the dunes in their first 170. And then the memories I have now, not just with my kids, but the memories I have with Seth, Caden Danbury, who just left, and these other kids who I've got to watch grow their careers.
Absolutely.
Starting there, and just how fun it is to see them start and fall in love with the same sport that we're all in love with, and then let their talent and then their team, right? Because you got to have a good family unit to progress. But watching them take those steps and progressively grow in their careers, it all started with that 170, and that's one of probably the biggest things Polaris will have as a legacy.
Yeah.
Is developing those next generations and giving them a way to grow into this sport that we all love.
Still to this day, nobody has a mini Razor anyway.
And all those manufacturers, I've been saying, they're missing out big time.
I don't get it.
They're missing out, but it's great for Razor. I mean, Razor's developing that brand loyalty from an early stage.
I'm sure it's like you said. I'm sure there's really no upside to them. Like, that's not a market value really, or
right.
It's not a big. They're not going to go.
But they do it anyways.
Yeah. Stock price isn't going to change because of a youth model, but
it's a big customer base builder though, right? Like, because 10 years from now, then they're going to get a 1,000 or whatever. But like from an enthusiast standpoint, it's phenomenal. Like, it's great. We could talk about business stuff all day, but so Alexia Lemming, how are you doing? She also started in a 170, and we had a comment come in. I don't know who it was from, but they said, yeah, I mean, like, those things, you have a fantastic family. She said that with Miss DG, and you have Mia, and you also have baby C, Christian, and Enzo as well, right?
Yep.
So
that's my team.
Yeah, exactly. And all of those vehicles lend themselves to your family as well. And it's cool to see that, right? Like, it's cool to see the not just the transition. Like, you didn't go and buy Razors because you're a Razor guy. You went and bought them because you love going to the desert, just like all of our listeners do.
Yeah, that was the difference. Like, I tell people all the time, like, UTV Underground, when I started that, it wasn't about money.
Right.
It was purely like, I was going to go build this thing anyways.
Yep.
I just found a way to be able to go and get free parts. But even after that, if I had UTV Underground or I didn't, I was still going to the desert.
Yep.
I was still, that's what my family and I were going to do, So, we're off-roaders, true. And like RJ, even same thing for him. Like, his dad is one of the most legendary guys ever in the sport of off-road racing, a true pioneer. RJ didn't have a choice. He was going to end up gravitating to off-road, whether his dad was burned out of it or not, right? Yeah. But it's just something that, I'm fortunate to pass on to my kids and see them have that passion and love for it.
Yeah, exactly. And John Hupperd's commented, and it's pretty cool to see where Polaris has come from, snowmobile builders, and seeing where they're at now. But it's that passion that drives it. All of the people that I talked about in the industry, I mean, like, we just talked about XP, the XP 1000 being a game changer, right, and changing the industry and stuff. But none of it would have happened without all of the creative and influential people that were behind those things, man. I love to think about that because I'm so into it now. Like, I never thought when I went and tested in that Pro Light that UTVs were cool. I never thought I'd be in a UTV. I'm a big dirt bike guy, right? And then seeing them now, they're one of the awesomest things on the planet. Like, you can't get any better than those things.
Yeah, well, it's all relative, you know?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a project later in the year that I think you'll relate to really well and think it's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. All right, so some of the other things that I wanted to talk about were going to be like, what your guys' favorite side-by-side builds have been over the years, because I know that you guys have done some serious things, and we've talked about the original Fat Rod, I think it was called, right?
Yeah.
And RJ has done some cool ones, so let's let him go first, because I know you got a pretty big showstopper for us.
Yeah, Joey Microfiber DiGiovanni will go forever on this.
Dude, do you use the good microfibers too, like the nice ones?
Oh, absolutely.
He's got them folded. He's got like a case for his microfibers.
I actually have I have a toolbox.
Don't touch them.
A tool drawer, I should say, dedicated to microfibers. Yep. And I've got premium ones that will only be used at different points in terms of the detail for the Cadillac. And then I've got, the medium ones that can be used when the vehicle's hit the wheels with and get the greasy. And then you got the other ones that are like, and my kids know which ones they can touch and which ones they can't touch.
Yeah, don't even look at that drawer in the toolbox.
I might go into the microfiber business. I have some ideas.
What has been one of your favorite builds, RJ?
What are we talking? Like race-wise, play anything?
How about for you? Let's go race-wise.
Race-wise? The short course car that we were talking about earlier was kind of hard to like deny. I mean, we still have it. It's like the first. It's
what
slammed
model
to
is
the
it?
ground.
900.
It started as an 800, and then Mark Holtz cut the back of it off actually, and put the XP 900 back in the drivetrain. So it's an XP 900 now, but it's Motec. I mean, it's slammed to the ground. It's only this high off the ground, just sitting there fully.
Does it still have the same Walker Evans sticker kit on it?
Still got the number one plate from the very last championship year in 2012.
That's one of the OGs.
Yeah, it's rad.
That thing could still show up at some of these races.
Be cool.
But hold its own probably.
It did.
I have no doubt about it.
It was before power steering. That's one.
Dude, how yoked.
Look at these forearms. That's how you develop, man.
That's where I got all these guns. Yeah. But I'd say if race-wise, I mean, it's hard to deny that car. It was just cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of ahead of its time, and to compete with the Georges and those guys, they were doing similar things with their cars as well. But
the sport wasn't big enough then for the rest of the industry.
Just said Joey Fibers.
Yeah.
Blake knows.
Yeah,
Blake's had to take a beer break before while Joey wipes his car down.
True that. If you've ridden with me, you know the program. Yeah. I got no shame in it.
Yeah.
Well, that is pretty cool. I don't know does that thing have dust all over it, or is it still at the shop?
No, it's actually in Walker's airplane hangar. So
really?
There's like an upstairs, and it sits up top with some of Walker's championship cars.
I know your schedule is like mad busy, but if you have a little piece of your brain that thinks about it, next time you're over there, will you snap a picture so we could post it online?
Yeah, I have. Actually,
we did
a video. Photos. We did kind of an airplane hangar tour deal on our YouTube earlier this year.
Oh, perfect.
So I did a walk around on it, but I can definitely snap some photos of it. You definitely like it. If you're ever in Riverside,
I remember seeing that bad boy.
Hit me up. Cool you'd be like, dang, this is still pretty cool. Even
when I hit you up, though, we're going to go to this taco shop that somebody told me about right down from the 4 Wheel Parts in Riverside. It's supposed to be pretty good. But, so what is your favorite build that you've done personally that's non-racing?
I have a couple. I mean, obviously, the original Fat Rod has a special part in my heart, but definitely wasn't the performance vehicle as the second Fat Rod. So the second Fat Rod, I just sold it last year, which was a tough thing. I always said I'd never sell it, but reality is it just became a really expensive piece of garage art to just sit there. I have a tendency to build, when I build my cars, I build them, I put so much time and effort and detail into them that I don't want to use them because God forbid I scratch it or it rolls. I was always so like I had to have it polished and ready to go for the next show and always looking good. But that thing was basically a full-blown race car chassis with the wiring and everything. It had all the hot rod parts that you would never see underneath.
I remember seeing some of those detail pictures. I was amazed.
Yeah, it had the big Packard, 2,000 horsepower Borg Warner ball bearing turbo kit on it. Obviously not 2,000 horsepower, but it had a tune that off pump gas I could run, 210 horsepower or whatever, 215. But it was a beautiful car, dune car. I could also go in the desert with it. SDR Motorsports. They were the guys that actually were the magic behind bringing that to life. John Melvin with some amazing paint. That was definitely probably the most elite car I ever built that could not only look good but could perform.
Yeah, it was pretty badass, man. You got to drive it a couple times at the dunes too.
Oh yeah. No. Oh man, she's a missile. That's for sure. It took a little work getting the clutching dialed in to match the horsepower, but that's where I leaned on the Packard Performance guys. And if anybody knows who they are. I mean, they're up there building like some of the baddest, fastest drag UTVs that are out there in the world. So
I think, did Seth say King Ranch? Yeah, that was
King
probably
Ranch,
my favorite too.
King Ranch was an evolution, right? That was another one that was pretty badass for being, an XP 1000. That wasn't a turbo. That was before turbos. But had like the Ferrari tan leather seats that Simpson
Way
had
different
done.
than everybody else was doing.
It was way different. The color scheme, the pattern, the pinstriping going back onto it, and just the class. The story on that thing too. I'd only driven it a couple of times, and I took it to the Mint that year and had it on display. I think it was the first year you had come out to the Mint after Seth won the world championship in his 170. And I had it there on display, and it was not for sale by any stretch. But a guy walked up and said, "How much to build one of these?" I'm like, "Well, this one's a little bit on the high end, probably 60 grand, 65." And he goes, "No, how much to buy this one?"
Oh, shoot.
And I go, "Oh, it's not for sale." And he looked at me and he said, "Come on, man, everything's for sale."
Yeah.
And so, long story short, the guy made a drive to St. George. I took the car out to the start line at the Mint the next morning. He showed up. We counted
That's
a
awesome.
bunch of $100 bills in a motorhome, which I was paranoid about all day, having that cash stashed in there. I had to go checking on it, But yeah, that was a cool car. Glad you mentioned that one. That car worked really good too. That was another SDR car.
I remember seeing some of those, like, because I lived in Arizona at the time, non-racer guy, and I remember having the Rhino and going, I need to get every single bolt with a billet washer now.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get red lined seats. Like, I got to do all this stuff. I'm like, I'm so far behind with this stock Rhino. And then, do you guys remember Todd's billet?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
that
threw
was like
one of those 2-inch Todd's billet aluminum cages on it.
That was Arizona disco right there.
Dude, we had the largest. We couldn't get enough beer in that thing, dude. Like, it was the best. I still wish like you guys said, I still wish I had that thing.
Yeah.
What'd you call it?
I don't know. I don't think we had a
Didn't have a name for it.
Oh, I guess we should have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are such good memories, right?
I still have people send me DMs and ask me about the color washers on the builds.
Really?
Yeah, Packard Performance.
That's how Joey would rate a build. If he walked up and they still had the like stock Torx, he'd be like, it's okay.
Well, the thing is you get to a point where there's all these nice cars, right? All the builders and media guys, like everyone's building nice stuff every year. So it really kind of came down to the detail side.
Yep.
And that's where I'd get with Tim at SDR and we would start like brainstorming on what could we just do different because
like you did in King Ranch.
Yeah, but exactly. Like I didn't want a disco car. Yep. I didn't want to have just a bunch of flashy parts that you had on there just to have on there. Everything I put on there had to have like improved function all the way down to like Axia always had those bitchin' like 10-inch wide mirrors with the fold down sun visor. That was a game changer, just having that. Yep. I didn't invent that. They did. But putting those on the car, all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's like, everyone sees that and then they got to add those to their vehicles. And that's what was cool about UTVs is there's all these other things that are out there, little knickknacks and details that are cool to have that really separate your builds.
So even all the stuff that we're talking about, like even James Jeremiah just commented in and said that RJ's 800 was the first UTV that actually got him to think about racing UTVs being cool. And that's exactly what I meant by saying that it's the people that ended up being the ones that raised the elevation of the industry, right?
Yeah.
Because your level of detail, RJ's professional driving, and like all of these different things just they kind of hit at the right time, right? It was just so cool to see that rise of the whole industry together, man.
The progression, looking back, the progression is really, it's something that I'll, forever grateful to be a part of.
10, 15 years now? Maybe a little bit more than that? Like, that's so fast.
But it went so fast. Yeah.
So
every
fast.
year was
crazy.
like, you got to throw that car away.
Yeah.
That thing's, I'd have a car that had less than 300 miles on it. I'd be like, dude, that's old news. People, there's a whole nother model we got to build now,
Oh, hey, that, I don't know if you know her, Amy Quintero.
Come on.
Just a little bit. She said Cinderella was her favorite build.
Ooh,
I like Cinderella. I think I even named it.
Yeah, I think you did. You did name
it.
it. Yeah. So Cinderella was a pure go hard, just badass car. It was all one color, that matte gray.
Yep.
And had like kind of the little red accents, the washers.
Dude. The washers were so crucial. Every time I saw them, I'm like, dang it, I need that.
Yeah, that car was badass. That car worked too.
I even asked, like, when I picked up my first razor from the Merrills, like, because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was like, I'm going to go get a race razor. And I, like, brought it back, and I called Jason the next day. I'm like, hey, is it cool if I put the washers on it? He's like, no, it's a race car, you idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, they save weight. They save weight.
Yeah.
he's like, no, don't put those on there.
Yeah.
He's like, just listen to me. Don't mess it up with your brain. Yeah, I think that stuff is so cool. Zach Jeffers, from Side by Side Guys, wanted to give you a shout out. Said he was the first person to get him to UTVs and stuff like
That's
that.
awesome. Thank you.
One of the other things that I want to talk about is a guy that we all know very well, Craig Scanlon. He's been a huge proponent of
Absolutely.
UTVs over the years, and he's been one of those guys that we're talking about that was behind the scenes making some of these ideas and game-changing vehicles come to fruition. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is his level of sincerity and caring and humbleness to the whole industry, because he's done some amazing things. And in my case, took a Razor RS1 out of his garage, let me build it up, and let me go race it at a UTV World Championship event. Like, those things are insanely cool. And he's done that a million times back. Like,
He, for so many years, was like, if you watch The Wizard of Oz, and, you know, there's all these things happening, and there's a guy behind the scenes pulling the strings. RJ and I both owe a lot to, you know, personally as well as professionally, to Craig and his belief and us and our crazy ideas. And obviously I'm here working for the company he's the CEO of, you know, so.
Yep, we'll talk about that.
Yep, so our relationship's really deep, but he, as a member of this industry, is a guy that deserves more recognition than he's given. I believe that recognition will come over time. And it's cool that over the last, 4 or 5 years now, he kind of broke out of being just the guy behind the scenes and was able to step out and get more involved on the outside with his own racing program.
Dude, he got hooked in
all that.
hard.
He did. Well, he was hooked in hard racing with Jagged X, but then once he flipped the script and went to his own program, that's really where it put him out there. And a lot of other people got a chance to meet the Craig that we know, that we knew for all those years, and be able to be on the receiving end of his big heart, because he does have a big heart. He's a loyal guy. And he just wants to see people, if he gets to know you and gets a chance to hear your story or whatever it is, he will support you.
Big story guy for sure.
Yeah. There's nobody that I know that's in this industry that I'm really tight with, that in some way, Craig hasn't had an influence on, on them.
I've told this story a couple times, but like him and I just went on a bicycle ride together. I go, dude, I don't want to talk about work. Let's just go for a bicycle ride. At the end of the bicycle ride, he goes, you're an idiot. You know you're going to want to race a UTV World Championship. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. Like, I'm good. He's like, just take that car over there. Simple, kind little thing for him to do. And it totally changed the projection of the next couple years of my life. Like, it was fantastic, right? Like, and a lot of people can't see those things. Like, he's a good human being that sees other humans, right?
I think you touched on that perfectly with Craig. Is he, without you even knowing he did it, can see like where your mental side of things is going and give you just that little boost of like, hey, go for it, and set you in the right trajectory to. He's not going to hold your hand or walk you through it or do any of that.
Right.
But he's can have a simple conversation with you, see where you're going, see what you want to do, and just give you that little bit of boost or whatever it may be to head you in the right path. And he did that with this whole industry, I think, too.
Yeah.
He did.
I agree 100%. And so let's kind of switch gears from talking about Craig, but use that as a good transition. As good leaders do things like that. They lead with people, right? Not with product. And so you see those things, and he's been a good leader for everybody around in the industry, but specifically, since this is your show, Joey, for you. Like, he's shown you things while you were working and building up UTV Underground to make it a business and to give things back to the people that you've learned up to give you the ambition and, I don't know, clarity, I guess you could see, to start your new position working with 4 Wheel Parts. Like, I mean, like, there's a huge long line of things that we could discuss through that whole thing, but all of it kind of goes back to what you learned in the UTV industry, and then through people like Craig.
Absolutely. My career, the first couple of years of UTV Underground, it's like, it was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't making money. I was like any other entrepreneur where
100 hours a week.
Yeah, I mean, every ad I sold, I can still remember the feeling as I talk about it. But, I'd sell an ad and go, cool, I can pay the electric bill. Like now I got to go, right? Now I got to get halfway to rent. And,
Yep.
you know, I mean, I lived like that for 3 years, 3 years, as I was on with UTV Underground full time. It wasn't easy. It would have been real easy to fold up and quit, but I always had it in the back of my mind. I remember people saying like, if you can make it through the first 2,
Yep.
you know, you're going to be okay, you know? And so it was a fight. Well, it came down to the launch of the Razor 900, I think it was, in Parker, Arizona. And it was cool because the Razor people who had already been working with a little bit from media event stuff had the chance to come to a Best in the Desert race in full force, you know, all the marketing team, and see all the race cars with UTV Underground on them.
Yep.
Right? Every single race car. And so immediately Jason DeFucia and a few others that worked for Craig immediately came to me and were like, dude, what's up? Like everybody has your sticker. And so it gave me the opportunity to tell them what I do and share my passion with them. And so I got to have a dinner that night with Craig and Jason and a few others and share some wild ideas with them. And they went back to Minnesota. Jason called me up and basically said, hey, Craig told us to figure something out with you. And you had a lot of ideas. Give us a proposal. And that's where everything changed.
RJ, you know? Can you imagine like the hustle and the greatness like he must have felt like at one of those meetings, like how sweet that would have been? Like, yes, I think if I do it right, I've made it.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of how I met Joey, just through his hustle when he was running UTV Underground. Like he still had a real job at the time when he was doing it. He was running around Paris, taking photos, and just like, hey, would you guys want to, you know, rep UTV Underground? This is what it is. You know, we'll hook you up with some photos and some coverage. And he just had that hustle mentality, you know, from the get-go. And
I was just hustling, having fun, backpack full of stickers and a camera around my neck and taking really shitty photos and, you know, and just, but giving an outlet and sharing the passion, right? Like I saw the racers, they weren't getting that respect, even though UTVs were starting to take off. There was nobody kind of giving the racing the respect. And I was into off-road racing in general. So that was kind of the thing that I fell into and was able to do. But then Craig and, you know, they stuck with me through all those years. You fast forward 2 years from our first conversation and starting to do work together with the Polaris Razor Tour. That was my first effort with them, to then XP1K. And we kind of, after XP1K, it was just...
Hey, what was the business called? Was it called Running Man Photos?
It was, actually. Zendrowski will remember that, standing. So where that came from, standing in the middle of the track at Lucas Oil, 2010, I think it was. So I'd already been out there for a season. So I was getting to know Jason and Mike's Race Photos and Bink and a bunch of the guys that are still out there today, Art and
Eric.
And Eric, And one of them asked me like, hey, Joey, you know, your photo, I think it was Mike's Race Photos. He's like, Joey, your photos are getting pretty good. You know, what settings are you running? And I basically go, well, you know, it just depends. Like if they're going fast, or if there's nice mountains, I put it on this flower and mountain setting. And then if they're going real fast, I put it onto Running Man and just kind of hold it down. And they just looked at me like, oh my God. Yeah, and they must have been thinking like, this guy's actually making money doing this as a photographer, and they're out there with like real equipment and playing with their settings, and I'm literally going through manual settings and just trying to do all these trickery and then edit it.
That's so good.
Just know that things went up a level the day I started being able to pay guys like Caleb and others to actually do the media work and take the photos, and I was able to just go back to writing and shaking hands and kissing babies.
I still think that's cool though, man. And those opportunities, like you've had a ton of things happen. Like I have a picture here that I want to show as well, and it's a picture of you with the Diesel Brothers and a few other guys, right?
Yeah.
Like been a bunch of, and there's our guy Craig.
Yeah, RJ's in there. That was at SEMA a few years ago.
And so like those things don't just happen. You don't just come along, but those are industry milestones that I think are very, very cool. First of all, the Diesel Brothers have done, their work to get where they are as
Absolutely.
well. But when we talk about all those things, God, there's got to be so many things that you could bring up that are just phenomenal. But
never end.
Yeah, but
it all comes down to just that passion and that hustle. My thing was I was never going to be able to outspend anybody. I didn't have a lot of money.
Yep.
I knew that I wasn't going to out-talent them.
Hard work.
But I knew that if there was one thing I can control, it would be the hustle and the work. And I made a commitment to myself in those early years that no one would outwork me.
Yep.
They could outspend me. They could out-talent me. They will never outwork me. And so you couldn't go to a UTV event in those first 5 years and not see me or see somebody with the stickers on, right? If it was somewhere outside of the, the Southwest or whatever it was. But, it was the hustle. And when you hustle and you grind and you love it, good things happen. You end up in situations that you would not dream of, or you end up in situations where you're meeting people that you didn't know would have that effect on you.
Right.
That would help you, change the trajectory of your career or whatever it might be, right?
At the time, it almost feels like a chance encounter, but it's not. When you look back on it, you're like, yeah, those building blocks that I put in made
put yourself
that
in that position, RJ's done that, time and time again. Put, the hard work, the commitment, the grit to go out there and just be the best driver he can be has put him in situations to, build relationships or gain sponsorships.
Yeah.
That's another example, right? Like hard work pays off. And then you could go down the line. I look at Caleb and know where Caleb started in his career to now branching out on his own and hustling. And next thing you know, I'm calling him up and saying, hey, I got this McMillan thing, and just give him a shot for something we were doing for 4-wheel parts at McMillan. Now he's their guy, right? Yep. So you can look at it like, oh, yeah, well, Joey wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for his, RJ's Driving Town or Craig Scanlon or whatever. And that's true in a lot of ways, right? Like they all played their role, but one thing I won't take away is the fact that I put myself in that position, right? To be there and to network and to work with those guys. So that's just advice for anybody, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're someone like me who's gone to be an intrapreneur, you're a racer, or you just started your own parts company, right? Your own UTV aftermarket. Hard work will always show through. Yep. It might take you a little bit longer than some guys who can throw money at stuff. Or have more talent or have more notoriety. But if you stay the course and you do what's right by yourself, by your brand, and by the people around you, good things will pan out.
100%.
It's inevitable. That's
Racer,
the beauty of our country.
Anybody. Yep.
We live in a country that provides that to people. And it just comes down to how bad do you want it?
I know that you're super passionate about it, and I've read some of the stuff that you've posted on social media lately. Like, I hate everybody trying to give, I'm the same as you, trying to give you the life hack to be a millionaire, right? Like, it's just bullshit. But if you had to tell anybody that's in our audience, whether they're, looking to be a professional racer like RJ, or being somebody that is wanting to switch jobs or get a new job after all the stuff that's gone on in the last couple of years, like, what kind of advice would you give them? Just hard work?
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody. Like when I share advice with different individuals, it's kind of tailored around hearing their story and where they're at. I mean, the bottom line is if you remain honest, with the people you work with, and you stay true to that.
Yep.
You say what you're gonna, if you tell somebody you're gonna do it, you do it. Which I'm terrible about calling people back. So for anybody watching this, calling bullshit on me, I know I'm really bad about that these days. But remaining honest in what you're doing and to the craft, right? So in my case, it was the UTV industry, and writing these stories and doing right by the racers and the companies that were supporting me,
right,
and supporting the sport, and hard work, right? If you can remain committed to fight through the times that are hard and push through those moments, you will soon understand that those hard times are the best thing that can happen to you.
Right.
Hard times are what mold you. Hard times are what build character. And I had some really hard times early on. My wife had hard times with dealing with me early on.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you win your championships on your worst days?
That's the absolute truth. I have. Yeah. And that's the truth, right? There's something about being good in defeat and being good in challenging times. Doesn't mean you have to be a good loser. It just means that, through adversity is where we learn the most about ourselves.
Yep.
And how we shape our character. And so for anybody who's out trying to build that career, take that leap of faith, just started their own company, took that new big job, is, just built their race car and looking to go and make a name for themselves. Staying true to yourself, staying true to the people that care about you and that you're representing, at the same time remaining committed.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong. It doesn't mean everything's going to pan out, right? Good people fall short. Good people that work hard and do all the right things end up coming up short. There's no guarantee. But one thing's for sure, the people that are the most successful at some point fought through adversity and had to work hard to get to where they are. And
Well,
so
I love that you said all that stuff. And one of the things that I always talk about on the Dirt Life is how much family, support, and racing all have to do with that level of mindset, right? Because RJ grew up with it. I grew up with it. You're very similar to it. Like, knowing all of these things that can happen if you fail drive you more to be successful. So let's just say that RJ's career is, I don't know, he just doesn't want to race in 10 years. And he goes to get a job at Four Wheel Parts. He's going to be the best worker at everything that he does because no matter what, he wants to win.
RJ is one of these guys, right? And I could say this about a lot of other guys, but I know RJ obviously really well, right? It's like my little brother. He's going to be great at anything he does,
right?
Because he has a commitment to just being honest and working hard. He's not afraid of hard work.
Yep.
If it whether it's prepping a race truck for the race that weekend or it's building a slip and slide at his river house, he is all in to put in the work to help get to the, cross the goal line.
Fantastic job on the slip and slide, by the way.
A lot of work, like you said.
It is. But, dude, he's got a set of Red Wing boots, and you can look at those boots and know that they don't look like that because he's standing around pointing people what to do, right?
Hard work.
And, it's Seth's another one that I get to watch grow up, and he puts in the work, right? The guys who put in the work and aren't afraid to go in there and be the best at their craft and just dedicate themselves and go all in. But, again, remain honest and true to the people that are around them, and to those that they don't know yet, right?
Absolutely.
Just being good people. Good things will happen. It's inevitable.
And I know that a lot of people in the industry say that same thing about you, that you're a good person, you're honest and humble. You've worked with a lot of good people over the years. One guy that I know, Jakey Betta. You've worked with Rusty. There's been a bunch of people that you've got to work with, but I don't know everybody. Who are some of the people that have helped pave the way for some of the decisions and milestones in your, let's pick like 2 or 3 in UTV Underground and then now.
All right. So, if I look at somebody who has always been there for me to lean on and give me a very unbiased, honest, opinion,
reality,
which you need, reality, Randy Anderson, RJ's dad. I know I can talk to Randy and he'll give it to me straight. He may not be an expert at whatever it is I'm having a struggle with, but he'll give me some life experience and he'll tell it to me straight.
Right.
He'll tell it to me like, dude, you're wasting your time. Or he'll tell me like,
bad idea.
Bad idea. But what I love about Randy is his advice will be so pure.
Yeah.
It's so cut and dry. Like it's not, there's no fluff. There's no bullshit. Obviously we talked about Craig, right?
Is that something that when you learn from somebody like that and they give you that advice, is that what makes you think the same when you want to give advice too? You're like, wow.
I just had this conversation with my daughter, believe it or not, last night.
Sorry.
Yeah, and she was asking me because we were eating dinner it was yesterday morning. We were having breakfast together, her and I, at home. And somehow the conversation came up about sharing advice for people that are getting into UTVs. So the other day, I don't even remember the comment I made online, but I was being somewhat sarcastic. Oh, I posted up, people say, ask me a question. And I always laugh because I'm like, who has the time to do that? Like answer all these questions. Like I'm anti that these days, right?
Influencers, bro.
And so I had put one up, like ask me a question, but if you clicked on it, you couldn't actually ask me a question. Then the next slide was like, yeah, right. So, but someone shot me a message. I was at my son's football game and someone shot me a message, said, hey, I saw you do that, but I actually had a question for you. How can I get into UTV racing? So I thought for sure he was just being sarcastic. So I responded back and I go, oh man, I'll tell you all about it. I'll tell you how to get free stuff too, if you're interested. And he responded back with oh, sorry for bothering you. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, man. I thought you were being sarcastic. My bad. And so then I felt obligated to, spend that time with him. So there I was at my son's football practice, typing DMs back and forth for half an hour, 45 minutes with the guy. And so my daughter was asking me about that, right? And I just feel like there's a responsibility that I have when people are asking me specific career advice or UTV industry, off-road industry advice, to give it to them straight.
Right.
It's really easy to bullshit someone and fluff them just to kind of get through the conversation and get them on their way. But in the case of this guy, he was not ready to go UTV racing.
Right.
He owned a Banshee and he thought maybe he could turn his Banshee into a desert race vehicle. And then, then he started talking about wanting to go UTV racing. And I love the passion. I wasn't trying to squash the guy's dreams, but I feel an obligation to give it to him straight, to let him know, like, well, here, let me just tell you this. If you think that you're going to go and get Polaris to give you a free car, or BFG to give you a bunch of tires, and Method to give you wheels, and on, you're crazy. That those days are kind of gone. You got to go and really prove yourself, right, to fight through all these guys who have been racing for years that have never got that recognition yet, that are just going and doing it, right? So I feel an obligation to give that advice straight. And yeah, guys like Randy, guys like Craig Scanlon, I know they're going to give it to me straight. They're going to tell me things I don't want to hear at times.
Yep.
That's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear you tell me it's going to be okay, not like, no, this is messed up and you need to fix it, right? But you learn to appreciate that. The older you get, you learn to appreciate people who some might be turned off by because of their brashness, or they're not super outgoing and friendly. But when you get to know them, you know that they are just black and white.
Yep. What
you see is what you get. Randy's one of those guys. Mark Holes, we always joked around, was one of those guys. Kevin Croyer is one of those guys, Craig, on and on. I tend now, I think, as I think about it, to gravitate in my older age to those type of people.
Right. I agree 100%. The fluff is not what you need, especially in a social media world. Like, none of that stuff, like the likes and all that stuff matter. It's just reality that matters, right?
There's some really good stuff in social media, right?
Yeah.
There's some really good stuff, but there's some really bad stuff.
Yeah.
And you got to learn to filter through that. And that's where what you're referring to for the people watching is, as someone who, gave up a career that I had invested 10 years in through my 20s and my late teens and 20s, and went off on my own and made success out of it, and now left that and went back to work for the man. I've seen all sides. I know what it's like to give up on something secure and take a chance. I also know what it's like to walk away from something your identity is built into. And some would look at it like taking a step backwards by going to work, back into corporate world after being my own boss for so long. And something that I said I'd never do. I'd never thought I would. There's nothing wrong with that. And so when I see these people that are making a living out there telling people that, if you want to be successful, quit that job and go and live your passion. It's not necessarily wrong, but that's not advice for everybody.
Right.
Not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur. And trust me when I say some of the most successful, financially secure people I know are not entrepreneurs.
Right.
Yeah, some of them are, clearly, but there's a lot of guys who are not.
Yep. One of my buddies, I got a perfect example of that. I hustle all the time, right? But I've always had the, burden on my back to run my own business. And I've done that since I was, 20 years old. But one of my best friends, in fact, my best friend growing up, he's worked for Cox Cable, which is like Time Warner or whatever. Like, he's worked for Cox Cable whole life. Out of high school, boom. He's got everything that he wants. Doesn't have the same. Doesn't
got
have
security. He's got benefits. He's got retirement.
Everything.
All those things that when you own a company,
you never get.
They're on you.
Yep.
That's on you to have that. Yep. And that's really what the change was for me, as I started to say, as I was nearing my 40s, 10 years from now, am I going to be able to walk away from this thing with millions of dollars in my pocket, or am I going to keep working my ass off, spinning my wheels?
What did Camille think about it when you did that?
She was 100% supportive. My wife has supported every decision not every decision.
I was going to say,
but these life situations, career-wise, she's always had my back, just like I've had hers. And that's probably, all said and done. Talk about somebody who's going to give it to me straight. It's her.
There you go. Yeah.
And I appreciate that. My wife is probably the best, is hands down the best thing that ever happened to me. She grounded me, and she was that partner.
Got it.
Right? Whether it was business or just personally, that always had my back and was always supportive and told me the things that maybe I didn't want to admit.
Yep.
And leaving UTV Underground, there were a lot of things that I was in denial about. And it was her and Craig and some others that were like, dude, you got too much to just stifle yourself, and run yourself into the ground. And so, hey, I took the leap. I came here where I am, and man, I'll tell you, and this was the other bit of advice I share with people, the same things that will make you great as an entrepreneur, if you have those things, then you can go and accelerate in a job.
Yeah.
You honestly can. You can go climb a ladder inside of a career. Granted, if you're working for a small company and it's the owner and just a couple of you down below, you can see how far you're going to go.
Right.
But if you're inside of a corporation like I am, Polaris, Fortune 500, the sky's really the limit. Right. I'm my own limitation because the hustlers, the hard workers, the people with talent at that level, the cream will rise to the top. You will be recognized and you'll grow.
So I couldn't agree more with that. And the transition that I was trying to make, like to get to, like to go back to what we were talking about with RJ is like, that's the same mentality that you learn from an upbringing in the dirt life, right? Like you have to be a hard worker, whether you're shoveling ditches, building bicycle jump, anything, right? But that same mentality is what RJ possesses to have success in racing, winning races, operating his own team, helping his brother come up through the ranks. Like there's so much stuff that goes along, and those similarities are, I mean, they're right now. They're so parallel.
Grit. The best off-road racers are guys that are not afraid to get their hands dirty. They're not afraid of hard work.
Yep.
Not afraid of the long hours, and they persevere.
Yep.
At times when most other people would fold it up.
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
100% right. I've got to see him grow up. And I don't remember a time where he wasn't willing to go and do the work himself and know his vehicle. Now, I mean, that's the part. I've always been like RJ's like defense guy, right? Because so many people that didn't know him, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, of course, the rich kid gets all
bodyguard."
Well, you know what? They would just down talk like the rich kid who's got all the sponsors, and you know they give him everything, this and this. That would drive me nuts.
Oh, see, it's saying
because I knew him, right? So that would drive me crazy, and I'd be like, first off, no, you know, like that's not who he is, and obviously his talent grew. I don't think you hear that as much now, but I know that they're still out there. But
well, hey, so I got a simple question though: is like to get to the UTV races and race at the UTV professional level, we'll call it, with Lucas. I only did that for a year, but I was putting in roughly 60 to 80 hours of work to get 15 minutes of track time. And that goes along with the hustle and grit and stuff, right? Like, I had a little bit of help, but I was doing it mostly on my own. And you're operating your own race team, RJ. The amount of time that you have to put in to get to one race, and you're doing 36 events a year. Like, when do you sleep, bro?
Yeah. It's a grind, and you know, I'm not the guy as much anymore that's, you know, hands-on working on my stuff. I would say for me, my key ingredient to my success is the people I've surrounded myself with. My support system, my crew, my team, my friends. Right. I would say that's my biggest key to success as a off-road racer, because I hear it all the time. How do you become an off-road racer? And there's not one answer to that. But for me, I think my main key of what I've been able to do and how I've been able to achieve my goals is through the people I'm surrounded by. And we're a pretty small team for how much we do. My guys are really good at what they do. And you know, I more nowadays do the behind-the-scenes stuff that's not as fun, the stuff that kind of can be a grind at times. But you know, you got to do
keeps it. The tires turning. You know,
you got to pay the bills. You got to keep the sponsors happy. You got to make sure your team's fed and in good hotels, and just the list goes on. You know, and I laugh too. I see on social media a lot. There's certain people that continually go on social media to tell everyone how hard they're working, and I laugh because those people are trying so hard to make it in like the off-road world, you know, and it's always the ones that aren't saying anything like that. They just prove it with their results and their work. And anyone in this industry, as you know, the dirt life, anyone that's successful, whether it's a business, it's a racer, it's a crew member, anyone that's successful in this industry busts their ass. Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I don't care. You don't have to go on social media and tell someone, because if you had time to go on there and tell everyone how hard you're working, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. That's 15 minutes that you could have used elsewhere.
It'll be noticed.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, that's not what we do it for. You know, that's not what anyone does it for, is to have people say, "Oh man, you worked so hard for that." You know, it's just what ends up happening at the end of the day. You know, so
I think what I'm hearing, like, from both you guys, like, no matter what, it's just that hustle that makes you successful.
It's the grind. You gotta love it too.
It's a fire within, you know. It's how bad do you want it? How bad, you know? From here, as soon as this show's over, I'm going to Glamis.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's hot out there, and it's not the ideal place to be, but it's
well,
part of the grind.
a good lead into what we're going to talk about next, but like families and stuff. And Caden Danbury has a younger sister named Remy, and her fire is baking. Like, she likes baking, right? And I want to feel that fire. So I'm asking her for our 100th episode if she can build a massive Dirt Life Show cookie for the 100th episode, because I want to ignite that fire and get her pumped on it, right? Like, and that's what drives you guys. Like, literally, not a cookie, but, well, sometimes cookies drive us. But
Yeah, I'll do some crazy stuff for a cookie sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, so did you see the cookies that the Salee family got for our last show with Travis?
No.
There was 4 Wheel Parts cookies, Dirt Life cookies, the
Oh,
whole
I've
deal.
seen those. Yeah, I did see those wrapped up. Yeah,
I'll have to show you a picture of them. But yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to lead into, though, is like the family stuff, like the support mechanisms, right? Like, we just talked about, Camille, having your back for these transitions that you've made in your life for longevity things, right? RJ's had them with his brother, his dad, everybody in his crew. I mean, cousins, everybody, right? Like, it's really, really important to be able to have those mechanisms in anything that you do, not just off-road racing. If you want to go work at McDonald's, hopefully they'll support you to do that, right? But Joey, you have a fantastic family.
I do.
Yeah, and it's awesome that they all support you, but not only do they support you, they have a lot of fun with you too.
They do. The family is the most important thing to me. That was something that I had to learn because in my early years at the UTV Underground, I was so tunnel vision, I was so focused on building this company up to take care of my family ultimately, that while I was there, I say this a lot, I was there, but I wasn't present. And it took baby C getting to a certain age where I kind of realized, like, dang, I know I was there with Mia and Enzo through a lot of those same years, but I didn't have the same like sticking memories as I do of baby C right then. And I that's when things flipped for me to say, okay, I've got to include them in as much as I can. This is going to go too fast. But they've always had my back. The extended family, though, beyond them is what's special, right? I've talked about a lot because they're here, but RJ and the Andersons, I'd say it if they weren't here. The Andersons, the Quinteros, the Danburys, on and on. There's a lot of this extended family that they don't know how much has supported me to keep me going as well. Because my wife will support me if I decide I want to throw it all away today. I'm done. I want to just check out and go do something completely I'm done. I'm tired.
I actually had the same exact conversation with Sarah Danbury the other day.
Yeah, it's the conversations with Amy and Aaron, or just seeing and being around RJ and Carol and Randy and Ronnie, like that kind of remind me, like, okay, this is bigger than just what I'm doing. Like, these people have my back. Like, I'm never going to have to worry about failure of falling down, because I've been able to build this relationship up with this extended family that talk about a feeling that you just can't describe, of knowing that no matter what it is I want to go do, it's not just my close family unit that's going to have my back, but this bigger unit that's there for me as well. And that's the special things when I look at my career that I come away with, right? We've talked about all these cool builds and races and all the other stuff that we, kind of our names are attached to as what we do. But it's the relationships and the friendships and the family that you gain over time. That truly is where, I'll look back on my career and say, those are the things that matter, right?
It's literally your dirt life. Like, everything is formed around just those simple things that you're passionate about, right? Like, and that's the reason we like having these interviews, is because you really get the nitty gritty of people behind the scenes and understand, like, because everybody knows Joey D at the track, right? Oh,
Sure.
I've seen him on social media. I know Joey, but do they really? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is like, a lot of people did get a chance to know me, for who I really am, right? Because it wasn't like what you saw on camera was the same guy you'd see around the campfire slamming Fireball at the time, or having some beers with, right? Like, I just wanted to have a good time. And if I couldn't have a good time unless everyone else was. And plus
Fireball's delicious.
Yeah. But people, they did get to know me, right? These days, I'm a little bit more behind the scenes,
right.
By design. Just because, I'm seeing things differently for myself and what I need to get done and do here for this company, that requires me to be that way. But that said, I mean, it's something that when I meet people on the outside, I love sharing this type of information with them that maybe they don't know.
Right.
That gives them an insight as to what really matters to me in my career. and what keeps me motivated and keeps me going, because it's not always the things you see on the outside. It's not the latest, newest build, right? Those things were cool to have, but it was usually who I was building it with and then going and enjoying it with that ultimately mattered.
Yep. Exactly. Baby C just got done with practice. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, that's good. I hope he had a good practice. I'm sorry. So my sons are both playing football. Enzo's playing high school football his freshman year, and Baby C's playing Pop Warner. So Baby C was so bummed not to be here. So I apologize, buddy. But I'm glad that you're watching now.
Are you going to show him the video of Guy Fieri just smoking your spine?
Oh, he's seen all those good things. Yeah, he's got to watch all that stuff time and time again. He's got his own videos that we all like to watch way more than anything that we've been a part of. Baby C's got some gold in there.
Yeah, Baby C's got some personality behind him.
He does.
So talking about kids and stuff like that, like one of the things that actually Amy Quintero said, that you were being humble and really like, so you learned all this. You've seen what the industry can give to you and how the family can be grown with the industry, right? Like you have all these different friends and stuff, but you basically, you started kind of the UTV World Championship. You started giving back, and now you actually help youth racers. You've helped Seth Quintero. You've helped other people, and it's really the stuff that kind of just grew on you, and now you're trying to feed it back. That dude, there's a lot of people that are selfish, and they don't take that and give it back, like paying it forward. I'm really proud of you for doing that. That's super cool.
To me, it was a responsibility I felt. I feel like there's too many guys that are at the time that were in a position like me that were giving things to the people that maybe didn't need it the most.
Right.
I don't, it's not a knock. Believe me, I'm jealous if anything, but millionaires don't need more help with getting exposure.
Right.
If you got a trophy truck and you can't figure out how to go build a social media page.
Yeah. You got an issue.
Like that. I help people like that, especially those that are on the team. I'm all about it. But as far as my time and where I was, like even at the end of UTV Underground, I felt a responsibility to help the next generation. Plus, I was so fortunate to get to be involved with this guy and his little brother when they were younger, that I realized that that's what made me happy.
There you go.
It wasn't like there's all these other things that were cool that it made me happy, but the like if I ranked ordered it, right? The things that I loved the most was being there and chasing him around and watching his career grow, watching him prove people wrong, watching him get those sponsors that, other people wonder, or think that was handed to him, right? He earned it. Same thing with Seth and these others that I've been able to be real close to at a young age. That to me, as I got later in my career, that's what became more important.
Right.
Was paying it back. And not just to the kids, but to all the racers. There was a lot that I was trying to do to help other people that I could see were just going about things the right way.
Yep.
And so if I had the opportunity to, whether it be just simply give some advice or give them a shout out on social or, just go and spend some time with them at the track. That was something that I just felt a responsibility to go and do. And ultimately that's the greatest reward. I will tell you in this industry, for everything I've put into it, I've gotten back tenfold. Everything that I've ever tried to do for this guy, believe me, we joke around. I've had this conversation with the other kids too. It's,
Seth, RJ, everybody running.
Yeah. Like when I was doing like press releases and different things for him early on, he'd be like, oh, hey, I want to pay you for this. I got to pay you. You do this stuff for free. And I would tell him, and just like I say it forever, you can pay me back. You want to pay me back? All right. Then when you accept your Offroad Motorsports Hall of Fame, induction someday, you can give me a shout out, because, you want to pay me back, go win.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you win, I win. That's the way I look at this. Like, it's not a monetary, like, oh, I did this for you, now you got to do this for me. That's not how I roll. That's not how this group rolls. They're the same way. And I think that's why we've had this relationship and this awesome working synergy.
Well, I can tell you right now that, well, you're not the only one. RJ's crew, he's got his family and stuff as well. But I can tell you right now that just by what you're saying and giving back, it's heavily influenced RJ. And he's got a bunch of people that do it around him. There is so many kids that will come up and tell me, they'll be like, dude, they're walking around. They can be in my video or whatever, but they'll be like, you know what I just did? I just went and helped RJ wash his panels on his car.
Yeah.
And those kids are like, they won't stop talking about it for 2 weeks at their house or wherever it is in their small town. Like, it blows my mind that trickle-down effect has affected so many people just because you were so passionate about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's something that you just have in you. Maybe they were able to see some of that, right, and pay it forward. But there's things that RJ would pull me into to say, hey, I want to do this for this guy.
Gotcha.
Help him out. Jessy Nelson, right,
Yeah.
that we just had on. That started right here. RJ got to Craig, got to Mark Holes, got to me, other people that were able to contribute and help. That started with RJ. We did we've done
what's funny about
couple
that is-
Make-A-Wishes together.
Jesse asked me, he's like, how do I get back on my legs? And like, we had conversations for so long. And I go, dude, if you want to get into side-by-side racing, message RJ. He goes, who's that? Look what happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool.
I met him through one of our mutual friends, Mike Emerson, now a VP Fuels at Troy Lee at the time. But he's like, hey, we got to do something here. And I'm like, how do we help?
All of it, like getting that, paying it back and giving it forward. Like, I've always been a big racer guy. I mean, like, no matter what, there's always going to be somebody faster than you, right? And I've always understood those types of things. But understanding now what I've been doing for the last 2 years with the Dirt Life, it's made me way happier than any time that I was at the races racing. I'm not talking about being in the pits with everybody, because that was really happy and I love that.
Sure.
But there's so much more gratification seeing other people happy, like what you're talking about, Joey, than when I was happy on the podium.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, racing is about the experience. I mean, at the end of the day, that podium is just a very short stint of what you remember for the rest of your life, Joey kind of touched on it there for a second, but we were able to do 2 Make-A-Wish Foundation things, and I wouldn't trade that experience for any trophy I've ever got. You know, it's just like a cool experience that you can't ever replace. It's just like, it makes you feel good. It just does all those things that's what makes you feel successful.
You make an impact on somebody,
Absolutely.
And I think that's the responsibility that people that rise to a certain level, whether it be in their company or their industry or in racing, whatever it might be, taking on and meeting that responsibility to pay it forward and be a good example for the next generation. And also support those that you see out there just doing things the right way. I wish I could help everybody. That's the part I'm sure there's probably people out there that are, maybe down on me because they were working really hard and they were trying to get my support at some point. And maybe it was the wrong time or whatever it is. You just can't help everybody. But I did take pride and still do in trying to support and help as many people as possible where I can. And it's funny because it sounds so like I don't even know, self-indulged to be able to say like, I'm in that position to help people and this and this. I don't mean it to be that way. I just mean like in my world, I've been able to help and support people, and I take responsibility in trying to do that.
Well, you could word it differently, because you could word it like, I'm in a position now, I don't have to help people. But you're in a position that you can help people and you choose to help people, because you don't have to do any of that. But that's your mentality. You want to do that.
Once you understand that feeling, there's no check that can replace seeing somebody that you helped either live their dream, accomplish their goal, whatever it might be. That's something as a parent you get to live through your kids and helping them achieve their goals. And you realize like, wow, that's special. So, for me, I get that with my own family, but then I also have had the opportunity to do that in my career. And that's the most rewarding. To me, that's what I'll look back on. It's the money comes and goes, the toys come and go, it's really the memories, and then watching the others carry it on,
Yeah, absolutely. Todd Davis commented and said, these 2 boys made the side-by-side world and deserve all that comes their way. They have helped so many of us. And I think that reigns true with exactly what we're talking about.
Todd's a great guy.
Todd was one of those guys that believed in me before a lot of people. Yep. So Todd was an awesome help for a lot of years of my racing.
Todd's out there. He's a guy that does exactly what we're talking about. He owns a company, a canopy company now. When we met him, when I met him, he had a t-shirt business and started doing a bunch of t-shirts for us. But he's a guy that will put himself to the side to go and take care of somebody else. And Todd lives that, and he's blowing up in his career. He's out on the East Coast. He's an older guy now. He's super old, by the way. Todd's super old. But Todd's been out and took his business out to the East Coast, and he's been doing the same things for kids in the Roundy Round Racing Series, dirt tracks and stuff. And he's still paying it forward. And he'll be the first one to say that he's a relationship guy.
Yep.
And that's where you stand to gain the most, is in the relationships you forge and build.
I couldn't agree more. That's one of the things that I think the dirt life makes me so happy is because of the relationships. Even if I only get to see somebody for a little bit, right? Like, it still to me means a lot. Caden Danbury and everybody else is commenting in that you guys have helped them so much too. I kind of want to go on the same kind of subject. We're talking about family and stuff, but what are some of the key things that you think, like, on the people that you've met over the years, like, that really stand out? Like, for me, it was cool to see you with the Diesel brothers, because that was, I'm not going to call it non-endemic, but it's kind of non-endemic, right? Like, it's not the same as the stuff that you were dealing with on a daily basis. But Guy Fieri, like, those types of opportunities, clearly it was your hard work that got you them, but is there any that stand out above others?
Well, I mean, you mentioned those were like just super cool ones.
Right.
Great guys too. Like, people I still talk to.
Guy Fieri was even great, even though he smoked your spine.
Yeah,
That's what made him great.
Yeah, I've had some of like the greatest and worst times with him. Like, worse in a good way, I guess. But he's a fun one. Good dude. The Diesel brothers are great guys as well. Talk about hard workers and dudes that have a vision.
They don't even have time to shave their beards.
Yeah, but they talk about guys that are not afraid. See, that's something I lacked, right? And that's where RJ was so good with XP1K is I'm very conservative. I'm very much a guy that has to believe you can accomplish this to go and do it.
Really? I would have never thought that.
Yeah, like, I'm not like a big like chance taker. I'm just not. Like, I'm very conservative and safe in terms of what I go and do.
You've still raced off-road, though. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of getting the 50-50 here.
But I raced with like really good teams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so it wasn't all.
Like I wouldn't get in with like a squirrel, like, no way, like, I've turned down a lot of opportunities to go racing with other teams, and I kind of hand select them based on that. But no, and it's really like, those guys were great because they were big, high profile, so they help elevate things right there. Those guys give you that. They're like steroids.
Yep.
Right? They're just going to give you that boost to get you somewhere. But if you don't keep working it and working out, you'll lose that growth, right? So, they can give you that injection, but you got to kind of work harder to be able to maintain and keep those people, those eyeballs that they bring to you. You got to work harder to keep them around, So all those likes that one big page shares you, and you get all those extra likes from this non-endemic, they'll quickly go away.
Right.
Once they catch on, like, oh, well, the Diesel brothers shared him, but he's not really that fun or that entertaining, right? So you got to work hard to keep those new eyeballs. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we had a couple comments come in. Cadence Cowan said that you helped her over the years, and it was just awesome for you to be able to give her kind words and stuff like that. I mean, like, even those little things, man, they make a huge difference, right?
Yeah, she's a good example. Like, I didn't do a whole lot for her.
Yeah.
I didn't, but for no other reason, but being able to spend time, I'm glad that she feels that way, because I do remember being able to talk to them and just share some peace of mind. And that's cool to hear. Like, that's special. Those are the things that I love to hear back, where I realize, like, I didn't do a ton. They've put in all the work. Like, I did zero to help her get to where she is. But that she appreciated just the time,
right?
And be able to conversate and maybe pull away a couple of little nuggets on how they can improve their program or improve their career, whatever it is. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
And like, when you're laying on your deathbed, there's nothing that would, make you feel better, right? You know what I mean? Like, those types of memories are like phenomenal.
Yeah.
They go really far.
The people in my life is what kept me kind of going,
dude.
They keep me going. It's that's, like, I can't fail, because I feel like if I was to fail, I'm letting down a whole group of people, so it's like that's motivation.
I can't believe you said that. I'm not going to get into my story and talk about like the injuries and stuff, but there's been so many times that I've felt the same way for the people around me. Like, you can't stop. You have to keep going.
You got to keep going.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So along with that, like, I know that you've helped so many youth racers. I mean, Cadence is a perfect example of what she's talking about. But you also do a lot of other fun stuff on the side. So going into a little bit more of a lighthearted moment, like, you have some really fun hobbies. Like you're super into sports and you like older cars, right?
Yeah.
Like so. I think you even gave RJ a little bit of the older car bug.
Filled my fire for sure.
So maybe you can talk about like some
His
of the
dad's got me way by a mile. So
Randy's big old car guy.
muscle cars, man. Well, and the Suburban, like Randy's like such a cool guy. He's so interesting because no one gets the luxury. Well, I am very fortunate because he has such a small circle. It's very hard to get into Randy Anderson's circle. So, I found a way in. And so then when you get to know him, you realize like, man, he's so cool. You know, he's like into all this really cool stuff that other people don't get to see, you know, but.
Well, so you go like to car shows, you go to car meetups, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Has RJ been to any of those with you?
I think we do a quarantine cruise.
I tried to link up with you one time. By the time I got down there, I was late.
gone.
You were already on your way out.
Yeah. You just got to get the RJ66 C10 done, and then we'll be mobbing.
If I go to shows before my car's done, it's going to cost me a lot more money. So
Yeah.
I want to get it done first and then go.
I feel you on that.
Old cars for me. So if people follow me, they know I got the 55 Cadillac that I actually traded a Razor for. So I didn't go out and ball out and stroke some big old check. I traded a brand new Razor to a friend named Timmy out in Arizona who regrets it for sure. Because that Razor's like trash now, right? And he's beat it up in Mexico and everything else. And then
Your
here I
caddy's
am,
cherry.
like just taking the caddy up levels, you know? And
Yeah.
that's something that outside of off-road, like I always joke around and say off-road is the dumbest hobby ever to get into. It's like we literally go and dump a bunch of money building these vehicles to go literally destroy them.
Yeah.
Every time we go drive them and rebuild them again, where old cars and hot rods and things of that nature, you know, they appreciate, you know, they grow in value. And, you know, once you get it to a certain level, they're pretty easy to take care of. And you're definitely not going to go beat them up.
Dude, we just had first let's talk about what Brett Carpenter said. Take notes, kids. Classes in session. These two are so valuable to the youth community.
That's cool. Brett's the man. He's definitely carrying the torch
100%.
into the next generation.
So
you know?
if you want to know a little secret, I'm helping Alex Stryler with meetthesponsors.com tomorrow.
It's one of my neighbors.
Yep. And so I'll be at his house tomorrow. And we are going to actually be talking with Brett Carpenter of Polaris and getting the behind the scenes of what it takes to be a Polaris guy.
Oh, you get to hear he finally got to go and do his big first international race.
Yeah,
trip,
Casey
right?
Curry took him along, dude.
He and I didn't get to make it to Dakar due to all the stuff that was going on, but he got to go down with Casey to Brazil. I was stoked. I didn't know he was doing that until I saw the tags down there and saw him down there with Casey. So I was pumped for that. I see Craig
fired up.
made a comment about my apparel.
So did you see that?
I have a
RJ?
whole different wardrobe
Craig's
when I go to off-road shows.
No, he said
to car shows. He's not lying. Like it's pretty much what I have on, Hefe. You know that. It's not very much different. It might just be like different branding.
No,
or whatnot,
Daniel says you got gold chains and all, dude.
I do. I got it. I got it right here. You know,
Oh, look, you're you were just side flexing.
Yeah.
Side
flexing.
I have to know my audience. I'm not in the, in the
here we
off-road
go.
world, you know? No.
Bring it out, dude. You
Yeah.
got 2 chains?
Yeah, I did at one point. I took the other one off. My kids were calling me out on that one. Yeah. Craig busts my chops. You know, Craig's an old car guy too. He's got probably one of the baddest old Broncos. I think it's a 65 or 66.
I think sweet.
Or 68. What is it? 68?
I don't know enough about the Bronco,
but it's so badass. And every time that I've ridden with him in it, I feel like it's going to blow up.
Like your feet are going to catch
If
on
there is
fire.
one guy, so there's something. So we talk a lot about Craig. So I'll give some people some insight now that I know he's watching. So he should be here. I envy Craig, and I've told him this many times because he is a guy who's at a point of his life and he's wired a certain way that he will use. You're the same way, actually, but you will build something and use it for what you built it for. And we talked about my razors that, you know, I spend more time cleaning them than I do actually beating on them.
Yep.
But Craig is the same way. Like he will throw money at whatever toy he has. Raptor, for example. Here, Joey, here's the keys. You can chase the Baja 1000 with my brand new Raptor. He can trust me with it, but I've seen him hand the keys of his other Raptor to RJ's dad. And all I know is I was in there going, oh my God, if Craig saw the way Randy is driving his Raptor right now,
blowing it out,
maybe he wouldn't do this so often, but I don't think it would change him one bit. He's like, he knows like these are tools, right? They're not just toys, they're tools. So Craig picked, he brought us to Minnesota for my birthday one year for X Games.
Yep.
Hey, wait, Baby C just said that you have a full closet for car clothes, dude.
Don't, Baby C, come on. He might. It's like part of a closet. It's not true. So Craig picks us up in Minnesota in the Bronco, and this thing's got a big old motor in it. I don't know if it's a Coyote motor or something, but it's just a big old V8, and it's hot as hell in this thing. Like the floorboard, if you wore sandals in this thing, or you were barefoot, like you're screwed. Like you're burning your feet for sure. Anyway, we're on the freeway. You remember this?
Yeah.
We're on the freeway, and we must have been going like probably 60 miles an hour, and he dumped it like down into second gear or something, first gear maybe, all the way down to try and accelerate, and I don't think he meant to go all the
he
way.
went like 2 instead of 1?
Yeah, like I don't think he meant to go that far. But
I don't know. I don't know if we got the full story.
He spiked the red line on that thing, and I mean, this thing bounced on the chip.
Like it was ready to pop?
Yeah,
I think it might have. Like he had some motor problems not long afterwards, and I didn't say this, Hefe, but in my mind, I'm thinking like I know exactly where that damage occurred. It was on the freeway in Minnesota when he dumped that thing.
Yeah. We like went to speed up around someone. It grabbed a gear and it like hit false neutral. I don't know if that was first gear or what, but it just instant red line.
Dude, it was gnarly. It was gnarly. It sounded cool as shit. Just I was thinking like if this was my Bronco, I could never do that. I could never do that. But then there he was out in the desert doing donuts with it for photo shoots. And, this thing's like a Barrett Jackson quality build.
He said it definitely blew the head gasket.
It definitely did. For sure, dude. But I love him for that reason because it's like it's a part of me I don't have. I can look at all these friends that I have that they literally build.
Daniel just said, but that Mike Sky Ranch Road, though, Joey, in the Raptor.
Dude, but Daniel, that was totally controlled, right? Never blew a corner, made clean passes the whole way. It was a spirited drive down Mike's Road. Definitely spirited, but definitely not like it wasn't a Randy Anderson going the crossover road type of run into the sun mid race. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't
wide
that
open
pace.
fourth gear down the go trail.
I wouldn't do that. I think that's one thing. Like these guys all know they could hand me the keys to their car. And the joke has been that I'm the one guy that will give it back. And it'll probably be cleaner than they had it before.
Microfibered out, Joey fibered.
I take pride in that. I can't say the same for my friends. If I hand them the keys to my vehicle, I guarantee it's not going to come back in the same condition.
I do think that's cool though. You have such a passion for older cars and stuff. It really actually, because a lot of the guys that are in off-road racing do have a passion for cars in general. Right?
So I started UTV Underground by trading my last hot rod.
Really? What was it? What hot rod was it?
So I had a 65 Ford Galaxy, and which is not the coolest like lowrider or hot rod to build, but it was cool for me at the time.
Yeah, your first one.
And Serena at SDHQ in Arizona, I put it up for sale because I needed to fund my Rhino build.
Yeah.
And, I need to build this UTV Underground thing up. So I put it on GlamousDunes.com, which that forum back in the day was pretty fun. That and Pirate 4x4 were crazy. And I put it up there for sale. She hit me up. I had no idea who her and Ryan were at SDHQ in Arizona. And I said, what do you got? And we ended up working a deal. I literally traded my car. This is how committed I was to UTV Underground. I traded my car for a box of suspension components for my Rhino. It was a full long travel kit, front and back axles, the whole night, at HCR kit, no less. And yeah, that was the last car I had. So I went through all the UTV Underground stuff and had that opportunity with my buddy Timmy to get my hands on the Cadillac. And it was like, it kind of came full circle.
That's super cool, though.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about dedication to your service or to what you wanted to do, man. That's bitching.
Yeah. I still have the blanket that I used as the back seat cover for that thing. It was a true, like kind of rat rod.
Keeping it nostalgic.
Yeah, it was cool. It was root beer brown.
All right, so
I got to find pictures of it. I've tried.
The only other thing, were you around, RJ, like around him, like close to him when he made the transition from UTV Underground to Four Wheel Parts?
Yeah, it was basically right in the thick of working together. I mean, obviously we'd done our videos and stuff together, but ever since basically our first video, not just as friends, but I mean, Joey and I, aside from the videos, I mean, we traveled the world together. We went to Dubai two times, Australia one time. I mean, Mexico more times than we could count.
All states you can imagine.
Yeah, just not only racing but events and all kinds of things across the map.
What's his favorite snack on the road?
Favorite snack?
Do you know RJ's favorite snack, Joey, on the road?
Oh man, I mean, he's a candy guy too, like random.
Joey goes. Joey's the guy that taught me. He goes hard at the gas station.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah,
I am a pro at buying food that gives you stomachs like this. Luckily, I hang out with athletes.
Hey, actually, speaking of gas stations, I always fill up at the gas station in Valley Center because it's way cheaper.
Dude, I should get paid for promoting this gas station.
Yeah. Well,
I should. I'm helping put it on the map. It's got race gas. It's got high-speed diesel fuel pumps. It's cheaper than the Costco pumps.
It's
good. Brand new and bitchin' and huge. Like, you should go check it out.
So I pull in. Right,
Horizon Fuel Center.
Yeah, Horizon.
Follow them online on Instagram.
So check it out. I pull in, right, and
trying to get a fuel card.
I had no idea that you go there, right? I was just out there getting a sandwich at Yellow Deli. And
that's where I used to live.
Yeah, and so
down the Yellow Deli Road.
Yeah, exactly. So Alex Trailer actually told me that last time I had. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so I go to the gas station and I pull in. I'm getting gas, doing my thing or whatever, and I don't know exactly what his name is, but hell yeah, Keys.
Yeah, Junior.
So Junior,
he's an OG. He actually has the first world record jump in a side-by-side in his Rhino.
I know that.
It was like 25 feet. I love Junior.
He absolutely
We busted his balls for a long time, but that was a legit world record. Like, he had Guinness out there. He's got the plaque to prove it.
Yep.
So
I
don't care how short it was, but dude earned it. And he was one of the pioneers, and he was part of the Hellbound Natives.
Yeah.
Racing rhinos and stuff back in the day. He's an OG.
I actually know all of the stuff that you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
I was getting gas, and it took about an hour and a half.
So he launched that gas station.
Yeah,
Junior's got stories.
Dude, he told me all about you.
He's like, that's a homie right there.
Yeah, I know.
That's a good dude right there.
I know all this.
Yeah, but talk about a guy who's like gone through 10 different career paths in the time that I've known him to finally land back to his roots, which he's a Native American on his reservation, doing economic development, and just launched the coolest gas station in the world. Dude. And if you go to the gas station and you actually watch the pump, you'll actually see me on there.
You're in the commercial.
The 4WP truck. I took the Super Duty down there with the dirt bike in the back, and I'm using race gas to highlight the race gas pump.
Dude, influencers.
I'm telling you, Junior, I know he said he was going to watch this, but if I don't get a freaking gas card or something, like, I don't know, Craig, like, turn this off. Like, I don't know if this goes against corporate policy or not, but I mean, this is a local gas station. Like,
Ronnie hit me up one day and he's like, dude, does Joey work for this gas station? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. He's like, dude, he keeps pumping this gas station.
So I am the ultimate. So this is a good example. I know we're joking around, but I'm like the customer you want to have. I'm the champion of your brand. We try and build this for Four Wheel Parts. We tried to build this, and I think we did a pretty good job with Razor, right? Where you build brand champions.
Yep.
I'm not being paid by Horizon yet. But their gas station is so bitchin'.
Dude.
And it's got all the things you would want for guys like us.
The screens for the gas pumps are bigger than a Tesla screen.
Yes.
They're massive.
Yes. They're legit. High fuel, diesel, and deaf at the pump. Deaf.
Yeah.
At the pump.
Honestly, RJ.
And the snack. Dude, they're putting a drive-through in. So you can drive through and be like, yeah, give me a 32-ounce Mountain Dew and a bag of chips and this and 12-pack of beer and whatever else. And they're going to give it to you in the drive-through. And the drive-through is big enough to pull your toy hauler through.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. If you guys haven't seen this yet.
And there's a guy that's
Valley Center. You got to go check this gas station out. It's the best in North County.
Don't tell RJ, because I feel like he would actually make the trek from Riverside every time he needs to get gas now.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I spent some days down in that area for sure.
I'm going to need this video because I'm going to cut it down. I actually got the marketing guide's business card. I'm going to send him this clip because
Perfect.
Knowing Craig's his wheels are turning too because he's thinking he's got space on the side of his race car for a Horizon Fuel Center thing. I think they're running VP gas.
Dang.
Dude, who knows?
I think they have VP. That's what the race pump is, I think. So,
dude,
no conflict here.
Junior needs to get you hooked up. But, so I go over there today, and it's full on, like, there's a local that walks in, and he goes, hey, you know what? There's some newbie. It's been around here, been treating people like crap. We're going to have to let him go. Like, it's like a gang. Like, they're ready to, like, take out this dude that's, like, causing trouble at the gas station.
There's a tight-knit. I mean, it is on a reservation. So these are people that are running it. They don't mess around, but they're good people. You just don't want to be on their bad side.
I was sitting there
paying, anybody, right? Like, you're good. As long as you're good, you're good.
I was sitting there paying for my chips. I was like, this is a bunch of code. I need to, like, I'm going to hightail it out of here.
Yeah, they're great. I don't know one person's name that works there yet, except for Junior, who started it. But
yeah, so it's my favorite by
they're
far.
good people. And it's a killer gas station. We've spent a lot of time talking about this. I spent a lot of time.
All right, let's move on from the gas station. But yeah, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, though, local and like paying it forward and being like the family guy, because it's pretty clear that you have loyalty to everything that you do. So
I don't know what it is. Like, it's just part of who I am, and I tend to gravitate to the same type of people, right? That it's not about what you can do for me or what I can do for you. It's about like just good people, like along to just have a good time and be true to one another. And if I can help, I'm in, and I know that you're in to help me, and it just works out. It's just the people that I'm with today are a lot of the people that I was with at the beginning, or early on. And
that's what I was kind of going with RJ talking about, like when you were around him, when he did the transition from UTV Underground to 4-wheel parts, like it was probably easier because there were a lot of people that you knew. The opportunity came up, and it was like, okay, I'm going to go be with the people that I care about.
Well, I can tell you it was probably the toughest decision I've ever made. And this is where, guys like RJ and everybody, the Quinteros and my family, and obviously Scanlon were huge, right? And looking out for me and telling me things that maybe I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to acknowledge, or I didn't want to admit. But that was my identity. That's the way I viewed it. UTV Underground was my identity, and walking away from that would be like committing, like cutting off a piece of it's like cutting off my leg.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
embedded in it.
Right. But, I'll tell you, Craig, I knew no matter what decision I went, no matter what I ended up doing, these guys would be involved in some way. If I went and started an Italian deli or something, they would have my Italian deli on the side of their cars or something.
And delicious sandwiches.
And delicious sandwiches. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like they had my back through this transition, which was very difficult. And now I look back and I'm like, what an idiot. Yeah. Craig and I have joked around about this. Like, why did I make that so hard? Like I get why it is, but now that I made that jump and came here, I can't fathom. And don't get me wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just I felt like I had gone as far as I could go there, and it was just time to go and find new challenges and try and again, as I was looking 10 years out, where am I going to be? What am I going to be doing?
Yep.
And so thankful to Craig and Polaris as a whole, because I'm a guy who doesn't have a college degree. I'm just a guy with a whole lot of passion. And willingness to work really hard and learn. And they gave me a shot. And so
Craig said Papa Joe's quote was the best. I don't know what that means to you.
Probably talking about my dad, obviously. I don't remember what he's referring to, but I know when he says it, it'll click.
So RJ, during the time when Joey's making this transition, the hard transition in his life, right? Like, did you see, like, from his friend, like being his friends?
Yeah, I just saw someone like I said, we've worked so long together. It seemed like, even though it wasn't, it was a span of 8 or so years of working together, and I saw someone that deserved to grow his career, and I saw what he'd done for me and done for all the other people in the sport, and I was happy that someone gave that opportunity back to him with Craig and Polaris. 4-wheel parts. It's a role I knew he was going to succeed in. Obviously there's a part of me that was bummed. It was something we got to work hand in hand in every single day. I mean, no matter what we were doing, whether it was something Joey was doing or something I was doing, our paths would cross somehow, beforehand. And, but I couldn't have been happier for him, for sure. And for all the time he gets to spend with his family now. And it's awesome. And I still get to hang out with him, it was so funny, because for a little bit there, as he was putting the work in, and leaving Compton at 10 p.m. at night, people were calling me because he had just freshly, not started working at UTV Underground. So many people were used to calling Joey, and I would get blown up all the time. It's like,
oh,
hey,
really?
Joey won't answer my phone call, and I know he'll answer your phone call. And I'm like, yeah, the reason he answers my phone call is because I don't tell him about people like you guys call me looking for a phone call, So sorry, but it was funny about that transition. But no, I mean, we still get to, work together and do cool stuff together. And it's awesome seeing, him. I mean, it was no surprise. surprised to see him be successful at what he's doing.
I remember hearing about that. So what's your position at Four Wheel Parts then?
So I'm the director of marketing now. So when I started, I was the director of creative marketing. So I came in at the director level, which I didn't have a full appreciation for when I started. Craig obviously was like, look, we're setting you up at a really good position that's reflective of the years you've put in your career.
Right.
You know, you're not coming in to start at the ground level. You know, well, you've got a certain skill set, and you know, with the people that we have that will surround you with, you'll pick this stuff up quickly. And so he put me in a position to succeed. But I was kind of like second or third in line in the marketing side. And then you know, I think it was a little over a year there. They bumped me up. They promoted me.
Sweet.
And now I'm the director of marketing. So I report directly to the vice president, who goes right to Craig. So, you know, there's not a lot of people in between us necessarily. But that said, Craig and I have a really good relationship. It's funny, people I work with, they probably think, and people that are watching this from Four Wheel Parts, they probably think like, you know, Craig and I are locked up. You know, we're linked in one-on-one on all the business-related stuff. I would say there's probably, you know, 75% of the things that I'm doing day to day that Craig's really not involved with. He's got bigger fish to fry. Trust me, he's got I've said it to him before. I don't want your job, man. That's a lot of work. But when we talk, it's very rarely about work.
Right.
You know, when we talk, we get to vent to one another and just be homies, you know? And he's done a great job of allowing me to be in a position, because that's a scary thing, right? Going to work, not just with, but for one of your best friends. That can be a detrimental thing to the relationship. We were aware of that going into this whole thing. Believe me, it was a concern of mine even. You know, what was taking me so long to kind of pull the triggers, I just didn't want to jeopardize what we had as friends.
Right.
But he's done such a great job both giving me distance to allow me to be me and do what I do, while being there to help me along, whether it be a kick in the ass or point me in a certain direction. But he's also maintained that personal relationship, allowing us to just be friends and keep that on the forefront when we talk. And when we do talk business, it's about business, you know, and there's usually a meeting involved with that, you know, so we keep it real pro on that end. But yeah, I mean, I can't say enough. Like I said earlier in the show, I can't say enough for what he did. There was never a worry as I neared the end of wanting to do UTV Underground and I was looking for the next thing. There was never a question if I would find some place to go. I knew Walker Evans would hire me. Randy would hire me if push came to shove. Hell, Seth would probably cut me a little bit of his contract to let me just come over there and hang out and hand him waters or something. I knew my friends would have my back through any transition, but Craig was like, dude, you're not going to fail. You're not going to go backwards in your career. Matter of fact, you're going to go forward.
Yep.
And if you trust me in this, you know, you'll do just fine. And he put me in a position to succeed. And all I'm trying to do day in and day out is live up to him, right? Because he stuck his neck out for me, for a guy with no college degree, to come in at the level of I did at a company that is the real deal.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
It's the real deal here.
I think that story and that like transition, all that stuff is so cool, man. Like there's so many people in the world that we talked about it, like getting stuck in their occupation or whatever. Like you took a leap. Like no matter what, you thought it was like an easy one, right? Because it was like your friends or whatever. But like that's not a small thing to do.
No, it's a big step. Going from your identity side. And what was cool is we were able to relate on that. So Craig, even though TAP 4 Wheel Parts is owned by Polaris, you know, Craig was known as the guy who put RZR and ORV on the map,
right,
in this industry and across the globe, right? So even him making the transition over to here and sticking his neck out, because there's no guarantees, right?
Especially, man, some people might not like you, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it might be. But he went through the same sort of thing. Like he felt like his identity was so tied to RZR, you know, that he was now going to go over here. But for him, it was a progression in his career. So it was worth the chance. And what he did is it's not just me, right? We're talking about me. I'm here, the UTV guy, so I've got the ability to be on your awesome platform. But there's a handful of other guys that are working for our company too,
right,
that were there, a big part of helping put RZR and ORV and Polaris on the map over there
Absolutely.
that are killers. They're straight assassins,
Right.
smartest guys you'll ever know. And those guys are also, he brought them along with him as well through that transition. And so there's this core group of guys, Jason the Fuchsia, which is funny because we worked with Jason directly. Craig was the shot caller, but Jason was the guy that was making stuff happen. So we worked with Jason, and I built this fantastic relationship with him. And the day Craig told me that Jason was coming over to work for us and was going to basically be my boss,
Yeah.
I
Fired
mean,
up.
what guy does backflips and high fives when they're like, yeah, you got a new boss, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, we get you the Fuchsia, because that's the camaraderie we have. That's the team we have. And that's the culture
And
we're
that's
forging here. Is it's not just a group of guys doing a job. It's a group of guys that believe in one another to achieve goals that are not easy. And, when you are able to put aside the fear of whether or not this guy over here is on the same page.
Yeah.
When I can look to my right and I know, okay, I know DeFucia and Evan Keller and these other guys that are at the top of our business. I know what they're after.
Absolutely.
I know what they're about. I look over here to my side on my team, and now I know these guys, they're vetted. I know what they're about. I know they're willing to roll their sleeves up. And when you get all that out of the way, you end up developing a culture where it's not people just doing work. It's people that are, doing what they love, finding a passion.
Doing growth.
And pushing to go and do something that there's a lot of people that maybe don't believe that we can do what we're doing, whether it's growing our store count to 200 stores or it's, whatever, launching new products under a new brand image, taking this brand, which, was pretty dated when we came in, and resurfacing it and making it a place now where people are here taking selfies and they're proud to say they're at 4-wheel parts, and they're proud to come here and have their builds done. We've helped change the perception of the brand, and that's just the first step. We're literally just getting warmed up or getting
100%.
started, as Craig says.
And you know what the best thing is too? I won't speak about your competitors, but it's the best thing about success is everybody else always copies you.
Oh man,
You know
if
what I
there's
mean?
one guy who has dealt with that his whole career,
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it to him, I need a little, him being Craig, I need a little competition in me.
Hey, so speaking of Craig,
I want a chip on my shoulder. I need someone to go hunt.
Hey, well, we're talking about chips, and Craig, he said, ask RJ about the $2,000 on black.
that was a good one.
What do you mean?
I don't think Craig wants us to tell the whole story, but the bottom line.
A bottom line.
RJ's got to stretch out for this story. You see him?
Yeah. We went to a dinner. We were in Vegas at the Hard Rock Hotel, and we were talking. Dinner was over. We had a couple drinks, and somehow something came up about betting money. And Craig mentioned, hey, he's going to go put some money down. And I said, I think he mentioned first, let's go put $2,000 on black. And I said, I'm down. He's like, then he stood up and walked out. And
Straight to the roulette
Straight
table.
to the roulette table. And I'm chasing him out, and I'm looking through my wallet on the way out there. I'm like, Craig, I have $700.
So he said he was in. Craig's like, if you're in, then we're doing this. He went, and then RJ had to borrow the money from him.
So we go to the blackjack table or the roulette table, and I'm like, Craig, I don't have $2,000. I'll put my 700 down, whatever. And he goes, no, you're doing 2,000. So he gets in his wallet, he brings out more cash and gives it to me. And he looks me straight in the eyes, and he goes, I better have all that money back by Monday. And I'm like,
that is such a Craig.
I'm like, Craig,
thing
just
that
let me
right
bet
there.
700. He goes, no, you're doing 2,000. So he gives me the money. So he puts his 2,000 down. I put my 2,000 down. The blackjack table or the roulette table is just looking at us like, okay. Spin the ball, bounces around a little bit. I think it was black 31. And I literally jumped up and I stood up on my chair. I just went, yeah.
True story.
There's
story.
people in casino that were taking pictures of I acted like I
Who's
just
this
won.
crazy guy?
I just won $50,000 or something.
And then Craig wanted to double down again.
He was Craig wanted to keep going.
And I was
but
like, no.
I gave him his money back right there, and I washed my hands of it, and I'm like, we are good. And he
Dude,
keeps poking the bear. He wants to do it again, but I think it's one of those things that you just do once.
Dude, so I have a similar story, but I did double down. So my number in racing's always been 19. I had $400, and I went and I put $400 on red 19. Nailed it first
No
time.
way.
Didn't even wait. Next time that it spun, I would red 19 again and then double it again. Both times.
My first time gambling, I had the best luck ever. I rolled the dice and craps for 45 minutes straight the first time I ever touched them.
Yeah.
And that's the hook. Like beginner's luck is so good, and then that's the dragon you're chasing, right? That's why people get addicted to gambling because
I've never
you end
done
up
it
having
since.
a moment where you're like, I can't lose.
What'd you leave with? Like 20 grand, 10 grand?
I just dipped. I was like, nope.
Well, how
I'm
much
never
did- how much
betting
money
again.
did you make?
I don't even
35 to
remember.
1, right?
Yeah,
Or something like
I don't
that.
even remember what it was. It was a lot of money though.
Yeah, that's like I think each time $400
It's like
would be
35
10
to
grand.
1. Yeah, just like big money.
It was a lot of and both times was exactly the same bet. Both times, and it was right after each other, and I was like, "All right, I'm out." And I've never bet again in my whole life.
Like you literally broke every rule
Yeah.
when you're playing. And the guys that have been sitting there like going up and down for hours, and then this jerk off walks
Yeah,
up. Sorry,
and just made
this guy
10
walks up and
grand
puts
least.
money right on the same number
We just got done.
twice.
It was at a race, and we just got done eating dinner, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." Like whatever. Dude,
That's what happens.
That's pretty good because our shot was 50-50. Yours was 1 out of 36.
Yeah.
well, it was also a lot less than $2,000, but yeah, I mean, it was fun for sure. All right, so we're talking about your career, and by the way, I'm proud of you. You know, negotiating the career path that you did, because there are a lot of little things that come up and details and other things that happen, right? And even going and working for the man, as you called it, but a company, a corporation, instead of being self-employed, you've navigated it pretty awesome. And I think a lot of it was, like we said, the support mechanism, the family support, all these different things. But there's got to be some milestones in your career after leaving UTV Underground that have been pretty phenomenal too. Can you name one or two of them?
I mean, just the fact that I was able to go and step into this position, and there's a lot of pressure in the role that I stepped into, just mainly because pressure that I put on myself, primarily of, well, crap, I can't let the rest of the public feel like I went backwards. I also can't let Craig down, right? Or my family down. I've got to go and make this thing and figure it out and prove my value. So I would say probably one of the biggest highlights for sure since making this jump was getting that promotion. It's not so much the money or the things that come along with having a great job with a great company, but just the fact that it was like, dang, they wouldn't have done that if I was just his buddy.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have done that if I was just,
You have
a
to
warm
be good.
body, like
Yep.
just networking with all the athletes and stuff,
That has to feel good inside.
And that was more than just like validating that I made the right decision to come here. It was validating in a sense like, okay, I can do this. Like, cause believe me, when I'm saying that there's killers in there and smart dudes, like I'm not kidding. Like
Right.
Craig will tell you, like there's guys that are working for him that are just like, holy crap, this guy's like really smart.
Yeah, like
and
way
they're-
smarter than me kind of
and
stuff.
there's
yeah.
no bullshitting these guys.
Yep.
Like they'll remember you can utter something like, and you know me, I'm very passion driven, so I'll just fly off the handle with like, oh, this and this. And you can say something like, and 3 months later they'll like go, hey, but you said, and that one I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like I don't even know that I really said that, but they're just like machines, and so being surrounded with those types of people and being able to hang, hang with them, but then also learn from them.
It's like a
to me-
racer being associated with a better racer or something.
Yeah.
Hey, so
Yeah.
real quick before we go on, before the comment goes away, there's two things that I like to point out. It's a comment from Baby C, and he says he wants to ask you about the rage cage at the R.J. Anderson compound. But he said the funniest part about the comment is he says, Baby C is your son. He goes, ask Joey. Like that's,
So he wants me to tell people about the rage cage.
he's calling you Joey. That's the best part. Like, he's not even calling you dad.
Go figure. He does that. He walks in the mornings to say good morning. He goes,
And I don't even care about
what's up, Joey D.
I don't
He
even
does.
care about the comment, like the cage, because somebody else said it was for another show, so it might be too gnarly. But
Well, I'll just tell you that the AC sucks in it. Right now, the refrigerator does not work, and he's got to go to Glamis, and it's like on his last leg. The
I
rage
think
cage
he's talking about Rage Cage at the river.
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. But the motorhome itself, RJ's motorhome is what's referred to as the rage cage.
And
you can put two and two together why it might be called that. But
I can't see all the comments that are coming through. But Baby C says I don't lose in all capitals.
Oh, okay. Baby C needs to go. I need to text mom. I think he's had enough screen time tonight.
All right, so we could talk about stuff for another fucking.
He spelled it. I don't lose.
I don't lose.
I don't lose.
We could talk about stuff for 10 more hours, man.
I love that guy.
It's so awesome to see all the stuff that you're doing. But I know RJ's got to get going. He's got a place to go to.
Yeah, he's got to go to Glamis, actually.
Glamis.
And
I've got to get to the gas station.
So go get your sponsorship card.
Yeah.
So
I think I do need Dash. They got a sweet ice cream program there now.
Dude, when I walked in,
they elevated the ice cream program because of me. No lie. Ask Junior. He'll tell you. Yeah, absolutely.
They've got their own little kind of it's a knockoff Chipotle, but it looks good.
Qdoba.
Dude.
It's Qdoba. It is a knockoff. It's like an airport Chipotle.
Yeah,
dude, is what I called it.
I've heard of Qdoba.
But not bummed with it. I've had it a couple of times there. I'm not that bummed with it. It's actually pretty solid.
I was two behind, so I couldn't sit in line anymore because they had a big line.
Yeah,
because it was so good. But I had to get a sandwich, and
it's all fresh. Chicken breast on the grill. It's like,
all right. So we're gonna wind down the interview a little bit here. What's next for Joey D?
Wow, we've got a lot of stuff going on at Four Wheel Parts. I will tell you, even though we talked about the cars and stuff, I'd say the last 4 months, 5 months, a lot of people haven't seen a whole lot of me on the outside of my house. If you haven't come to my house, you probably haven't seen a whole lot of me. And that's because we got a lot going on with this company right now.
Nice.
Good stuff. And so we are, we had a fantastic year through COVID. All of the hard work that this company has put in over the last 3 years since I've been here, which is crazy to say. I've been here for 3 years in September.
Craig says, tell Joey, thank you for all your help at Four Wheel Parts. You've done a great job. Wish you best of luck at the gas station.
He says that, but that's because he's working the angle already. He sees free gas in his sight, so he's going to support me through this change.
He's got to
support me through this transition,
Next time you go, Joey's going to be slinging Qdoba for you.
See, I'll be back there cooking Qdoba.
Joey's going to be all over the commercials at the gas pump then.
Oh, man. Could you imagine? We've got a lot going on here at Four Wheel Parts. We've launched, we were first to market with the all-new Bronco line of products. That was a massive accomplishment for our company, to be the first ones out there. We partnered with Ford. We brought to market some killer products for the Bronco that are in stock and ready to go. We just launched Tacoma products, which we're really proud about, sold through those like that. We just launched the first of what will be, I'm not going to say how many, but many new stores between now and the end of this year.
Awesome.
We had our first grand opening in Texas. We brought our 5th store to the Dallas market out there.
Dude, that store looks sweet, too.
Store is killer. We just relocated from 2 old buildings, old dilapidated buildings in Arizona and Georgia into 2 brand
Shout
new
out to Arizona
facilities. Yeah. So the Mesa store relocated, and then we just had one in I think it was in Marietta, relocate to Kennesaw, Georgia, that opened up today. So soft opening was today. We'll have a grand opening event of some level going on there, but we've got many new stores coming the second half of this year.
Dude, the hustle is strong.
And I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that don't make it to the daily social media hype reel that maybe we should do a little bit more of. Shame on me. There's some cool things that we probably should hype a little bit more. But we've got a lot going on. We've got a lot of internal things that we're doing, a lot of team member development and teams, processes, and things just making us a more efficient, more effective business on the inside. And at the end of the day, as we sit here inside of this store, this is really the focus right now. As we look this year and going into next year, as I talk about launching new stores, is it's really getting back to the local level and returning the support back to these guys that they need at the local level to interact with their customers. Here. So we're working through some really good plans right now to figure out the best approach to get them more support and to do more things at the local level. So we're a big national brand. You have to understand there is no competition to us when you really look at us as a national retailer. We just don't. What we have are independent competitors.
Right.
Each market has another off-road shop. And as a guy who comes from the off-road world, you gravitate to those mom and pop kind of smaller shops because, you just feel a little bit more personal there versus a bigger, but this place used to be viewed in my opinion, is like Walmart of off-road. We've worked really hard to change that perception these last 3 years to being the fact that we've got all the best brands, we've got all the best products, and we've got the deepest inventory, and we are the big dog. But we also have knowledgeable staff. These guys that are behind the counter, they live this life too. The guys that are in the back putting these builds together are the real deal. And we need to bring that across more. The guys down in our engineering facility, I've done a little bit down there, but the Nick Eisenhowers and the Ted Moncure, these are guys who are well known in the sport of off-road racing, and they're the ones that are down there developing these Bronco products and these Tacoma products. So we need to do more to highlight them, and we've got some ideas there as well. But it's really about getting back to the local level, taking the big monster we are and getting our focus back to the customers at this level down here and supporting them. So I think we've done a great job by attacking the big stuff at the top. And getting a foundation in there with, how we're marketing and going to market each month. But now it's time to step up, and this is kudos to Craig, shake things up and get back to the store level and start doing the little things.
Yep.
That will make us great.
Well, thank you for letting us be a little part of that, doing the little things. Like, we really appreciate it, man.
This is the one little piece of a lot of pieces that we need to do to continue to support the stores and give our customers another reason to come here.
I can tell you that every time I've been to the store, I think we've been to 4 or 5 different four-wheel part shows so far, and every single time, even though the guys have to, the employees that work here, they have to handle all the customers and they have to help us, like, everybody has been so freaking cool about it, man. Like, and it doesn't matter what guest, it's always awesome to be in the stores, dude.
They know what a guy like you can help bring visibility-wise and just culturally at the core level.
I'm just saying the dudes are cool and they work hard.
Cool, and you're here supporting them, and they do work hard. They work really hard. There's long hours here and a lot of builds that we're pumping out on a daily basis across this nation. So,
well, I appreciate you working so hard. But another thing that I want to say that I know that's on Joey D's radar for the future is helping the boys get better at football. I know your daughter is really into horses and stuff like that.
And she starts college next. I think next week, maybe even later this week. But her first day of college kicks off, which is weird. So yeah, my daughter's still cool, doing her rodeo stuff. The boys are in football. I've got Cadillac things going on, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm just carving a path right now. I'm in a phase, if you will, of really just
honing
all in on what I'm doing. And then I look forward to being able to
I think you might have done that once or twice in your life.
Yeah. I look forward to getting to that point here pretty soon where I'll be able to step back up and, get outside and be able to relax a little bit, not be so on edge all the time.
All right, we'll get off the edge a little bit.
Seth won't have to or RJ or Craig, they won't all have to just come to my house to be able to see me. I'll actually get back out and start
go hang out with people.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to thank. What did you get for Poke Nachos? I wanted to thank Seth for bringing you some food. That was pretty rad,
Props
right?
to Seth and the Quinteros.
Dude,
fresh
things
fresh
look bomb,
Poke
man.
Nachos.
I didn't even know what they were until you guys told me. But let's start going into the rapid fire Q&A. I think RJ's actually answered some of these questions, and then we'll sign off. All right, rapid fire Q&A. We're gonna let RJ go first. You go second, Joey.
Okay.
First question: hard shell or soft shell tacos?
Soft shell street tacos.
All right,
all day.
RJ, what about you?
Ooh. Soft shell street tacos, hard shell homemade tacos.
Ooh.
Yeah, hey, dude.
Like
I was going to say that. I've already been talking a lot, so why stop now? But yeah, I'm on that same program.
Chicken or asada?
Oh, come on, asada all day.
Dunes or the river?
Oh, that's a tough one. Depends on the time of year, but
50-50.
But the dunes. I mean,
gun to your head, dunes or the river?
I got a 6-spot in river.
Yeah, he's a river guy. I'm not a river guy. I'm an Anderson compound guy.
Three-wheeler or quad?
Dunes.
LT80.
Three-wheeler. You got to go three-wheeler, quad guy.
See the dude on the 200X?
Yeah, that was gnarly.
That was so gnarly. Dude, I couldn't believe it.
LT80s. LT80s. All my kids learned how to ride.
Big LT80 guy?
Huge LT80 guy.
I love those things, man. Pizza rolls or jalapeno poppers?
Pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls, dude. For sure. We've scorched our mouth so many times on the road with pizza rolls.
Roasted, yep.
Dude, one time in the little cooker thing on the side of the exhaust. Remember that?
Hey, since you're going to be the president or vice president, since Junior's president, you can suggest pizza rolls inside the gas station location.
I'll put that
Just
on
right
the
at
list.
the pump.
They do have those in the frozen food. They do have those in the frozen food section.
Pizza rolls at the pump.
Dude, I noticed it. I'm not lying either. I'm saying that from my soul. They do have pizza rolls in the frozen food section.
This guy's a genius. Pizza rolls at the pump.
Pizza at the pump. You just hit the button, and pizza roll shelf comes out.
We'll be talking. Apparently, Craig said I'm fired, so we'll be talking.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Ooh, boy. Oh man, there's so many. You go
I got
first.
Super Troopers.
Yeah?
Yeah, people hate on it, but it's still my favorite.
I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna say, geez, I know this isn't it. There's got to be another one that I'll say that's actually it. Fast and Furious, though. Like as lame as that sounds,
You're going Fast
but
and Furious, dude.
I can probably go word for word on the first 3 Fast Furious. Anybody who hates on the very first Fast and Furious, like we probably can't be friends.
Yeah, we just broke up. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleport.
Teleport, really?
Yeah, I'd be in Glamis.
Dude,
I'd say time travel.
I guess teleport and time travel is kind of the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's kind of the same thing.
I don't know.
I'm
I don't
gonna
want to
ditch
go.
this
I don't
question.
want to go to the future.
No, I don't want to go there. I want to go back, maybe.
Oh, back.
And,
Alexander
yeah,
Graham Bell?
Yeah, like, because you can make a lot of money that way.
Oh,
like you can
yeah,
go back
yeah.
and
That's
be
almost
like
cheating.
picking all, well,
Yeah.
duh.
Dude,
I mean, what else are
talk-
you going to do with it? Like,
Talk about movies, though. But haven't
I
you
don't
seen-
really care to hang out with like Franklin Roosevelt, dude. Like, I want to go back and like tell him who won the 1992 Super Bowl and make bank.
Dude, well, talk about movies then. Have you seen The Butterfly Effect? It changes everything, dude.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. Isn't that a spinoff of the?
Well, it talks about every single choice in your life makes a different outcome, right?
Oh,
like,
okay.
so
I'm
if you
thinking
go
of something
back,
else.
everything else gets fucked up.
Yeah.
So,
True. Yeah.
all right, most memorable race.
Oh man, most memorable race. For me, probably
I had to skip this question, but I wanted to talk about the first UTV World Championship. But
That's definitely up there, but for me, I probably go back even further to the year 2000. It
Whoa.
was the very first Baja 2000 that year. It was the first Baja race I went to
Baja
without my
2000?
parents. Yeah, the year 2000. They did 2,000 miles. They raced from Ensenada to La Paz and back. It was the first race in Baja, the first time I went to Baja without parental supervision. Me and my buddies, we got to meet Ivan Stewart and geek out all over his truck, that PPI built trophy truck, the single seater. Meet Larry Rosler. That for me, like that's what's really kind of like hook, line, sinker. I was all
that's
off-road
gnarly.
after that.
Watch out for your sunglasses, RJ. What's your most memorable race, RJ?
It had to be Crandon.
Crandalina Wine Mixer?
50th anniversary Crandalina wine mixer.
I missed that one, but I do have I think I'm one of like, I don't know what number, but I got a
10.
certified photo hand autograph framed above my desk.
Dude.
I was happy for him on that one.
That's pretty legit. Yeah, so hopefully you can three-peat this year. Netflix or YouTube?
YouTube now. I
YouTube.
used to be Netflix, but I'm a YouTube geek now.
Did you?
Yeah.
It's like Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Have you heard? Oh,
The part that sucks is if you ever reset all your like favorite
even know you
things.
could do that.
Bro, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Like you have to start all over,
okay.
and it's the worst. 'Cause you realize like I don't even know what to search for. Like I'm so used to
They
just
just give
being
it to
like
you.
fed nonsense.
Yeah.
Like now I got to actually type something in. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
and then you're gonna it's gonna totally change. It's like butterfly effect. It's going to totally change your next decision that you have in your life.
Yeah.
So
That's a life lesson right there. Like don't delete your like recommendations.
Life
or
hack.
anything. Yeah, that's a bad deal.
Have you ever heard the term Google then YouTube? Like that's how people can operate life, literally.
Oh yeah. People ask me the dumbest questions. Like take the time through social media to ask, and I'm like, bro, Google.
Yeah,
Like,
just
why
Google
are you
it.
bugging me? Like,
And then if you can't
there's
find it on
way
Google-
more information over there. You know.
And then if you can't find it on Google,
Yeah, YouTube. I've done so many jobs on my car because of YouTube.
100%.
100%.
Favorite snack?
Favorite snack, go-to snack. Damn, dude, these are like tough. Probably beef jerky.
Dude, beef jerky is so expensive, though.
But it's
I
kind
like
of a go-to.
I'm gonna maybe say Takis.
Oh, you're going Takis? I know Seth Quintero.
He's a hot
but
Cheeto guy.
Yeah, big hot Cheeto guy over there.
Big.
To what?
Oh, Dynamite Doritos? Is that what he's talking about over there?
Dynamite Doritos.
Ooh, that does sound pretty good.
He's still a child, so you still get to be on the up and coming snacks and stuff. Baby C's all over that stuff too.
Supercross or motocross?
Supercross, just because like it's just more. It's like it's funner to watch. That it's the party, the vibe.
Yeah.
But I think outdoors is gnarlier.
Yeah, respect.
You
the
know,
vibe.
respect. But Supercross is where it's at to me.
What
That's
other
where
form of racing would you like to try?
Jet sprint boat.
Oh, you're going jet sprint boat now? Is it just because we talked about
This
it with
guy's
Jessy
got all
Nelson?
kinds of weird ideas.
No.
let me tell you.
So that's a.
This is the one
jet
where like
stream.
two dudes, right?
Yeah.
And that guy, the navigation though is like this.
Yeah, but they got like 2,000 horsepower.
I don't even know if that's safe at all.
It's not. Their boat has a roll cage.
Oh, so it's all right?
Because they go out of the park and they flip.
Dude, I
It's
don't
gnarly.
know. I don't think
He's been talking about it for a while.
Dude,
it's a
my,
matter of
dream.
time, folks.
Yeah, I met the
Matter
world
of time.
champion from New Zealand at Glen Helen one time. Just didn't
No
work out.
way.
Yeah, he bought a Pro 2 from someone.
Holy smokes,
Yeah.
dude. I guess that guy's probably a really good driver, though.
He seemed like he just had a bunch of screws loose.
What's yours, Joey? What form of racing are you doing? Please don't tell me it's speedboats.
Dude, yeah, it's so funny. Cocaine Cowboys. Talk about Netflix. There's a new Cocaine Cowboys. And these guys, they had all this money they didn't know what to do with, so they got into offshore racing boats. And I saw these boats, and dude, we're talking about like the 80s and 90s.
Dude, don't spoiler it. I put it on my watch list.
Dude, I want to watch that. I might watch it on the way to Glamis.
Bro, these offshore racing boats, not even a boat guy. You know, I don't even like boats. I kind of want to take a peel in these boats.
Really?
Well, dude, they got 4 guys in it.
Yeah.
Like, how fun is that? They're
yeah.
riding like nuts to butts on like each side.
Yep.
And you got a driver and then a navigator, and then
And
you got
a
like 2
throttle
hype
guy?
men in the
Yeah.
back.
But you have
like just 2 dudes that are like, fucking pin it. You know,
and you
like,
have a capsule, right?
oh, these guys are wide open. Like, just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it was 80s, 90s, so maybe they go full capsule now.
They
Yeah.
have both versions.
Yeah.
That
But
sounds-
that, and I would like to ride and be the guy. I probably want to face forward for the Catalina ski race, the one
So
like
you
the
are a
Herbs
boat guy.
do. Maybe I'm kind of a boat guy now. I don't know, but where they tow the skier like 100 feet behind the speedboat and they race over 100 miles an hour to Catalina.
yeah.
If you haven't seen that, I don't care what anyone says. Like UFC fighters are gnarly and all this stuff. Be a guy that stands on a single ski behind a speedboat, offshore racing boat, going over 100 miles an hour, and you're just hanging on
In
for
the
your dear
straight
life.
ocean.
For
yeah.
50
In the
miles.
ocean for 50 miles.
Dude, no.
Yeah. So I want to be in the boat. No, obviously not the guy being towed. That went out 100 pounds ago. But for sure in the boat, like that's gnarly.
That's gnarly.
And you know those guys send it when they get done with the racing and stuff.
Oh, probably. yeah.
They have a
I'm
good
sure.
time. Well, I mean, watch the Cocaine Cowboys.
Yeah.
Those guys probably had
They're
a good
not
time
just
too.
they're not just drinking Fireball.
Yeah.
Who is your celebrity crush?
What's the girl? Oh, I can't. I hope my wife's not watching. I'll never be able to watch like this movie.
You know
the one, the Suicide
Suicide Squad?
Yeah, the crazy girl.
Oh, the Australian?
Ponytails.
Yeah, the Australian
What?
one?
She was the one that was in the Wolf of Wall Street too, right?
Yeah, the Australian one.
You know the Wolf of Wall
Yeah,
Street.
yeah,
girl?
Yeah. She's that
I
blonde,
don't think
that
I've
blonde
seen
girl. Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Who's your celebrity crush, RJ?
She's all right.
You know what? I grew up and it was Jessica Alba. I don't know. She doesn't do it for me as much anymore, but I'll
What's
stick
her
with
name,
Jessica
Seth?
Alba.
Oh, Margot Robbie. Yeah.
That's the girl he likes. Or the
No,
girl
that's
I
your
like?
girl. That's
Yeah.
Suicide Squad girl.
I don't know. I just know her from Wolf of Wall Street, and I think she was the Suicide Squad girl.
So you're
She's
going with
all right.
Jessica Alba?
I'll stay with my wife.
I kind of feel
don't
like
really
Jessica
have
Alba's
any
boring,
TV
though.
crushes.
Oh
or
yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that.
But it was like when I was a kid, I thought like Jessica Alba would be the coolest.
All right,
I just have to stick with her.
last question of the night. I already know what your guys' answer is going to be, but this is a profiling question.
Razor Can-Am.
Chips and guacamole or French fries and ketchup?
Oh,
Oh,
dude.
Jesus.
No, I'm gonna go get French fries and ketchup, but it depends on the French fries, of course. Yeah, I mean,
Is he the first one to ever?
I'm a
do-
big guy for like.
No.
Scuba
Oh.
Steve Westfall, he picked French fries too.
So here's my top 3: McDonald's,
French fries?
French fries, Red Robin with
Oh,
ranch
the
and
garlic
buffalo
ones?
sauce. No, straight up with their seasoning, and then ranch and buffalo sauce mixed up, and then the dark horse is Popeye's French fries.
Really?
They are like, if you guys remember Rally's fries back in the day, and they've gone downhill. Popeyes is like the modern version of Rally's fries.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
We
I
gotta-
can tell you guys some bad food for you, just like I can with gas station.
You're gonna be a great gas station manager.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that's my future. That and turns out I like boats. Maybe
your big boat gas
Maybe
station manager guy.
I've been saying forever. I'm not into boats. I don't care
It'll
about
just, like,
boats. And
be-
turns out I kind of like boats. I guess fast, big, expensive ones.
Oh man, the next 10 years on Joey's radar is going to be pretty good. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time, man. I know RJ, I know you got to get down out to Glamis, and Joey, you got a big schedule with you. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time, dude.
Man,
It's
this
awesome.
is really fun. This is the first time I've gotten to get back together. Like I was telling him, we haven't done something like this in a really long time, few years, and just getting an opportunity to talk about UTVs. Haven't done that in a really long time. And then obviously do it here in my new digs. Although it's been almost 3 years come September 1st, it'll have been 3 years since I've been here. So time flies, but thank you. I appreciate this. This was a lot of fun for me. So
it was.
I'm sure we bored a lot of people. But at the same time, I had a good time doing it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. And it's cool to see Baby C's already chiming in.
Harassing.
Harassing everybody.
That's why he has a screen limit on his phone that he gets so mad about.
Oh, can he not change it?
Oh, dude, Camille shuts that down. Like, he's got like X amount of time for his phone. Yeah. And then I start getting these alerts like, I'm requesting more time for my phone. Like,
dang.
Yeah. It's getting shorter next time, see?
Well, thank you guys both. I really appreciate it. I know your guys' time is valuable, and I appreciate you sharing your stories with all of our audience and everybody. So we'll try to cut some of those clips for you. Yeah. And we can share some of those bad boys on your social media. And thank you very much to all the guys at the shop that are staying late.
Yeah.
And
Orwell Part San Marcos, thank you guys. Come on down here and tell them that George sent you.
Yeah.
Don't say me, because then it's like, gotta get a discount and all this stuff. But no, I'm just kidding. Come on down here and
hang out. Yeah. These guys are awesome down here, and we really appreciate all the Four Wheel Parts crew. I mean, Corey, everybody that's been helping out. So it's
got a really good team.
It's really cool, and they're supporting the youth athletes and stuff too.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, check out Meet the Sponsors tomorrow. That's with Alex Stryler, so it's meetthesponsors.com. You can go to sponsor deals page on the dirtlifeshow.com, and you get a direct link over there. Brett Carpenter from Polaris Razor is going to be the featured guest tomorrow. That's going to be pretty awesome, man. It's just like Joey here, he's got a plethora of knowledge for you guys, and he operates the race team, and he's just going to give out secrets, man. So it's going to hopefully going to take the resume stack and dwindle it down a little bit, because then he can just pick some.
I'm telling you, when for those of you that are still watching, that are in trying to build your UTV racing career, you want to take all the opportunities you can to hear and learn from people that can help you propel. And I would tune in tomorrow if you're looking to build a career racing razors. That's the guy right now that is carrying that torch on, and at least you'll know what makes him tick.
Dude, you shouldn't have said anything about the time for Baby C. Somebody said they figured out how to crack it.
Oh gosh,
dude! And Baby C just replied to it. Oh no, dude. And
I think the last time he did something on his phone, we had to buy a new one. He hacked it, to uncork it, and blanked it out. Yeah, jailbroke it, literally broke it.
And so thank you to all of our sponsors, KMC Wheels, EFX Tires, Zollinger Racing Products, Shock Therapy, Cryo Heat, and Solderweld for being a part of the show, man. We really appreciate all those guys. So please support the guys that support us. Come down to Four Wheel Parts, check out all the stuff that they have out, in your local area. Thank you to Joey and RJ Anderson. We really appreciate it. And most of all, thank you guys for watching. You guys are our lifeblood. You guys are the reason this show is getting to be 100 episodes deep, man. So we really, really appreciate it. We can't thank you guys enough. So keep sliding into our DMs, man. Ask us as much questions as you can and participate in all these live shows that we have. Like I said, if you can't catch it live, you can always go on the archive in iTunes, YouTube, everywhere, and check it out. Spotify, like I said, that's been blowing up. So we really appreciate all you guys. Next week, we have Ryan Sanders from DP4 Racing Series. It's going to be pretty cool to talk with those guys. They have a bunch of stuff to talk about local racing. So like Joey said, you can learn all the stuff from Brett and get your side-by-side racing career going, and you can stop by their racing series and hang out. So join us next Monday. We will see you guys later. Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.